It's telling me that I'm live. I think I am now live. Someone in the chat said late Lord. I am on the minute on time, as is my guest, the late and timely Lord Haven this week. And I realize the title is cut off by the chat box already, which is great. So, hello, welcome in everybody. We are discussing Season 3, Episode 3 of House of the Dragon, Rhaenyra Triumphant. It was a very interesting episode. How are you, Mr. Haven? What did you think of this episode?
And dare on to me, Lord Ormond. I'm doing a cold open for the stream.
Yeah, we haven't done our title music yet. So this is our cold open.
I'm good. I'm very good. Yes, it was a very hectic night for me because obviously Hot D was at 2 a.m. UK time, and at the same time was the England versus Mexico game. So the moment the episode ended, I switched over to watch the last third of the Mexico game, which was the most stressful thing in existence. So along with this episode, it was just like continuous stress until like 5 a.m.
As an American, I do not wish to talk about the World Cup. So
out of respect, I will drop the subject.
That is much appreciated. What do you think of this episode? It was very different than what we've had in the past.
The so-called conceptual episode, and people had all kind of theories, like, is it going to focus on Rhaenyra? Is it going to focus on Otto? Is it going to focus on Aegon? Is it going to be a flashback episode? Is it going to be this and that? Turns out it focused basically day in the life, Rhaenyra, like the early stages of her taking over King's Landing, dealing with the micro and macro politics, the realities of the situation, the logistics of basically ushering King's Landing into a false dawn of peace, while dealing with exhaustion, stress, discomfort, various factions vying for power, and so on. I thought it was a super well-crafted, fast-paced, chaotic mess. I thought it was a great episode. I really, really like this. This is one of the top ones for me.
I agree. I had previously discussed this, at least in somewhat uncertain terms, of what it was going to be. Conceptual episode is kind of a strange term, and when we heard it was going to be mostly about Rhaenyra, I kind of thought it was just going to be a bottle episode, but this did really feel a bit different and conceptual compared to the rest of the show, primarily through its framing. This was an episode that was effectively told through Rhaenyra's viewpoint, as so many of all of the chapters in the main series are told through a single character's viewpoint. We were with Rhaenyra for all of this episode except the cold open, and I really, really enjoyed it more than I expected to. Because, like, with this show, Rhaenyra has so obviously been, like, the central focus. She's gotten so much screen time, especially compared to every other character. I was a little hesitant to spend an entire episode entirely focused on her and her struggles, but I think they executed it really well, and it did feel very different from anything we'd seen before. And it was really interesting to think that this might have been intended as the season premiere for Season 3. That would have been really neat.
Yeah, I mean, especially because it starts with a cold open, it does have such a strong premiere vibe, doesn't it? But yeah, it really is one of the most unique Game of Thrones episodes there's been. Not only does it have that, as you've mentioned before, the sort of like the closest thing we've had to like a POV chapter adapted into an episode, where it's like, it's not just following her, we are in her head, right? And that in terms of what she's perceiving, what she's seeing, and the music's, it's like this constant music carrying the momentum forwards, throwing us from scene to scene, and sometimes it gets discordant, right, and kind of spiky when she's getting a bit paranoid or she's getting stressed, and like sometimes you hear a sort of a ringing like a tinnitus when she's zoning in and out of a conversation. Yes, and we're in her head. We're like, this episode we are experiencing what she's experiencing, including the Jace sort of mini hallucination as well. So yeah. And what did you think, by the way, speaking of music, what did you think about the sort of the transition stings that kept happening, almost like horror movie, like before it moved on to the next scene, like a kind of like a shing, you know?
On first watch, I wasn't huge on the transitions. They were a bit jarring to me, especially like even less than the music, just like the sharp cuts from one to the other. But on rewatch, I think it was a very good way of like continually marking the tempo and slowly increasing it over the course of the episode. I think, obviously, the music in the show is just sublime at all times, and I think it was especially an excellent point here. And I also really liked, with the cold open, like, the drums leading into the intro felt a lot more like natural and cool coming from that like previous scene than just being the opening.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? Just to talk about the sound, because we talked about the music. Like, I thought the sound design was so good. Um, like, and not just like I said, the kind of the ringing and stuff, but even like when she gets the herbal tea and she kind of pushes it away and there's that kind of sloshing sound. It's almost a bit too loud. It's almost a little bit gross. Like, everything feels so like overwhelming and overstimulating, and it's like just great Foley work. Like, I just the production side of this episode was so good. And earlier you said it's not really a bottle episode, and from the context of Hot D, it probably is. Like, I don't know whether this was purely a creative choice, but I imagine this is probably, by default, the cheapest episode of of the
That's
season.
true.
But it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like okay, here's the bottle episode. It felt like it belonged here. And yeah, as people are saying in the chat, it's not necessarily, the conceptual aspect was overblown. It's not like some crazy like out
It's
there
not like
esoteric
super
idea.
out there or abstract, but it is very distinct.
And the last time we had an episode that, ignoring the cold open, the last time we had an episode that was purely from one perspective was Watchers on the Wall, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that true? I guess Battle of the Bastards has different perspectives. The Long Night.
Oh,
That was all Winterfell.
Wonder why I couldn't remember.
I was
gonna
say, yeah, that I don't super fault you for that.
But even The Long Night and Watchers on the Wall, while it took place in one location, it followed various characters in those respective battles. This episode purely follows Rhaenyra.
Yes, it does. And it is, I think, better for it, honestly. It feels so focused.
Yes, it does. And it's
it.
great to just showcase Rhaenyra more and make her feel more like a living, breathing character. Because, again, I've been so annoyed by the constant sort of spinning wheels and sort of fidgeting and just kind of not doing any, and to actually be like, okay, she's making decisions and she's like she's doing things. She's actually doing stuff. It's a lot more satisfying, and the conflicts she's grappling with are more than just, what would you have me do? I can't do that. They're a lot more personal, and I'll get into that later. But like, a lot of it is sort of her grappling with both her confidence, who are, she has close relationships with, and also the legacy of her father. But yeah,
I agree.
I would.
I did also want to say, I saw someone in the chat asking where our discussion for episode 2 was. That was on Haven's channel. So we'll be doing odd episodes on this one, even on his. Make sure you're subscribed to both, and also like the streams and everything. But before we get into like the actual scenes proper, if you had to rate this episode, what would you give it?
All right, for me, I loved it when I first watched it. I watched it a second time. Nothing changed. I liked it just as much. This is like a low 9 for me. This is a 9 out of 10. I really, really liked this. You don't need big deaths or big battles for it to be a great episode. It's not as good as, for me, it's not as good as Lord of the Tides in season 1 or Rhaenyra the Cruel in season 2, but it's definitely up there.
I mean, continuing our trend of being boring and agreeing on everything, I am
God damn it.
in the same boat. I've seen people praise this as like the best episode of House of the Dragon. I don't quite agree with that. I think that it's, in my opinion, it's definitely in the top 10. It might be in the top 5, but it's on the bottom end. Personally, Rhaenyra the Cruel is my favorite episode. I think Heirs of the Dragon is a near perfect pilot. And also Driftmark and Lord of the Tides, I also have a massive, massive soft spot for in both cases. But it is, a lot of my love for this episode is just how bold of a swing it is in terms of actually giving us effectively a viewpoint chapter in an episode. Like, I don't know. I've talked a lot about viewpoints generally. I have a lot of videos discussing them, and to, see that realized in some way, especially coming from a book that doesn't have viewpoints, is really cool.
It's a swing and a hit, this one. Like, they took a chance and it paid off for me. I think, there's that meme going around that, like, when Sarah Hess writes an episode, the gods flip a coin. Because Sarah Hess wrote Rhaenyra the Cruel last season, which was fantastic. She also wrote The Green Council in season 1, which I think is the worst episode of that season. And maybe the second worst episode of Hot D overall.
I would say third.
Third worst.
Small folk, nothing happens.
I'd have to rewatch Small Folk. I think I literally don't remember.
That
I
is
can't
fair.
differentiate Small Folk and Regent. They're kind of the same episode in my head.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
that's
kind of
the
speaks to
issue.
your point, if anything. But yeah, no, I think here's the thing with Sarah Hess. Might not always agree with some of the ideas she comes up with, but I think she is the best dialogue writer in the show. Like,
Wholeheartedly agree.
Ryan Condal can be good, but sometimes his stuff can be a bit clunky and stilted. Sarah Hess is really good at writing dynamic, archaic sounding dialogue that isn't stilted or awkward. It's like it's fun, it's creative, it's it's kind of like I said, it's kind of sort of a bit thespian and over the top while still being grounded at the same time. It's she's really good at dialogue, in my opinion.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree, as is tradition, and we will keep things boring here.
We got to know. We got to. We might disagree on something. We don't know. There might be something this episode where we can really. We need some 1920s song to play in the credits so we can have a half-hour argument.
That'll be next episode. Was it really half an hour? That's crazy.
I just made that up, but it felt like half an hour.
First scene. We'd seen this scene. I'm saying scene a lot in like the stills prior to the episode, and I had a hope about it, and that hope ended up being true. Cold opens are rare in this franchise, at least in terms of like the main shows, Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon has only kind of verged on that territory once. The first episode doesn't have like credits at all, so kind of there was one there. And in Game of Thrones, there were, I think, 5 collectively. Season 1, Episode 1, Season 3, Episode 1, Season 4, Episode 1, Season 6, Episode 7, and Season 7, Episode 1, I believe. So this really made it feel different, and I thought it was a great way to separate the one scene in this episode that wasn't Rhaenyra's viewpoint, because it was, something that needed to happen for the plot of this episode, but it might not have fit in as seamlessly if it was after the credits.
Yeah, it would have almost felt like an interruption. And as we've said, if this was meant to be the premiere, it makes sense. It makes more sense to have a cold open before the opening titles, like in the premiere of House of the Dragon. Although, to be fair, there weren't opening titles in the first episode of season 1. But you know what I mean. It is interesting that they kept it as a cold open. I wonder if it's almost like a sort of a deliberate, like, yeah, you're correct, fans. This was
the season
premiere.
3, Episode 1.
Yep.
Sorry.
Okay, screw HBO, guys.
Oops.
We know you're right. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But no, I think it almost makes me think that, like, if you're watching this show in a binge, if you didn't tell people what the seasons were, if you just said, here's a bunch of episodes, I could see people easily viewing this as episode 1 right after the finale of King's Landing falling. Like,
I agree. And it feels a little different to me as compared to the 2 episodes we've already gotten this season.
in what sense? As in,
It just, I don't know. It's something about the dialogue, maybe, or maybe it was just because it was such a, big swing and was so different in having that viewpoint perspective. But
it almost felt like a bit more confident in itself.
yeah,
To an
it
extent.
gets to be its own thing. It doesn't need to tie up these things from the previous season that should have been in the previous season. But
Yeah.
speaking of confidence, who do we have here?
the ultimate mog-off between
Ormond is winning,
Daemon-
I have to say.
Daemon and Ormond.
Look
Ormond
at
is
that
winning.
armor,
To be-
man.
It's so good, and the 7 gods on the breastplate. And by the way, the stranger is the 7th one, like poking up under the high tower. It's kind of hard to see in this picture, but he's got the stranger.
I
like
did
a
not
hooded-
notice that.
Because when you look at it, you have 2 at the front, and then there are 2 at the back when he turns around, and then we can assume there are 2 at the side underneath his arms. But where does the 7th go? On some stills that are closer, you can see a hooded figure under the high tower. The stranger is there as well. It's so glorious. He just had the religious armor. Like,
Does this foreshadow Euron awakening a kraken from beneath the high tower,
so true.
symbolized by the stranger?
And do the flames atop the high tower in this engraving represent the laser beam that will come from the Mecha high tower, controlled by Melora the Mad Maid?
Do you know what color the beacon on the high tower shines when the high towers call their banners to war?
Green.
I wish we
Bravo,
got more
cinema.
Harwin.
Absolute cinema. We needed more of many characters in season
You're
1.
not wrong.
We needed 6 episodes pre-time skip and 6 episodes post-time skip.
That would have been
for
goated.
the
I
perfect
am the
season
number one defender of Martin's pitched pilot that no one would have liked, The Heir and the Spare, about Aemon and Balon.
And Baelor.
Baelor, yeah. No, Balon. It's Balon. I'm right.
Yeah, no, my bad. Balon the Brave. So I'm
that would have been incredible, right, and no one can tell me otherwise. I would be the only one that likes it.
George would have kept being like, no, this isn't good enough. We need to establish who he got. Jaehaerys. We need Jaehaerys building the roads. We need the birth of Balon.
That is one thing. I talked about this a little bit on Twitter that does make me a little sad about this episode. I wish we could know Martin's opinion on his viewpoint style being, like, mirrored here so directly. But we definitely won't.
Yeah, no, he's not. I mean, he didn't say anything about the show he loved, Duncan Egg. He's not going to say anything about this.
He also might not be able to say anything about this, given HBO taking down the Butterfly blog.
He may not be allowed to say anything about any episode of HBO ever.
Martin has been ill and pained.
Damn.
But I was very skeptical on this. We've obviously, like, had buzz, and everybody's kind of known but not known that there's going to be a fake Daeron in this show. But I think they played this very well, and I liked this scene as kind of a little bit more of a window into, like, Ormond's, like, plotting and scheming side, and getting to see him actually pull one over on Daemon. It was also Daemon's little comment about Ulf wanting to be Lord of Old Town. I felt bad for Ulf because he keeps getting, like, jerked in every which way by Daemon.
He must have been so hype in that moment. He was like, "Oh shit, really?
Oh my god."
But yeah, no, I'd also heard, well, some of the few leaks I'd heard had been the fake Daeron plot. And a load of people were really, like, pissed off with it before they'd seen it. And I was like, guys, patience, wait and see how it's done. And I think I like its inclusion. I think it shows off Ormond as a cunning, ruthless plotter who's buying time. And I think in spoiler section at the end, maybe we can talk about what we think his plan is. But essentially, he has bought time in order to seize Tumbleton, which we learn about later. And
which is a change.
It is a change. It is a very, again, we should get to that when we get to the interesting Dragon Keeper.
Yes.
Guy from season 1, by the way, the same guy.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Jace, the guy who trains Jace in episode 6 of season 1.
That's such cool continuity. I did not know that.
It's the same guy. Yeah. Crazy. But yeah, no, I thought it was a really interesting short-term plot. And I do think there's something inherently funny about it. If this was meant to be the premiere, there's something inherently funny about how they keep, like, blue balling us about Daeron. He probably wasn't even going to exist, and then he's not mentioned once in season 1. He's mentioned twice in season 2, and both of those scenes, especially the Alicent Gwaine scene, feels like a very obvious reshoot. So the fact that they dick us around so much about Daeron, and then they're like, "Here you go, you finally have Daeron. Are you happy?" And it's a fake. It feels like a troll from the writers almost. But I think they used the fact that Daeron hadn't been showcased by now to their advantage. In a perfect overall show of House of the Dragon, if you knew this plotline was coming, you would have established Daeron from season 1. You wouldn't be revealing him now. But working with them, I think, last minute introducing him, it's a fun idea to use that to their advantage and have a fake out plot that gives the High Towers just a few days of leeway to plot something and to seize Tumbleton. And I do have a couple of, like, logic issues or logic-based questions, like, what was the plan with Tessarion? Was their plan to just be like...
I did want to address that, because that was one criticism I kept seeing. I think it's interesting, and it presents some problems, but different problems than people are pointing out. I think that it makes sense that Daemon would not want Daeron to bring Tessarion with him.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't want to give his hostage a gun, I think.
A gun and also a Ferrari?
Correct. A gun Ferrari, if you... that's how dragons should be described, not flying nukes.
Yeah.
Albeit, I mean, Tessarion being that small is maybe more of a gun Ferrari than a nuke, but you can still do some damage. But then that creates the issue of, like, now what's going on with Tessarion? We hear at the end of the episode that she was taken inside the walls of Tumbleton, but assuming that was the correct Daeron, as they would have had to assume in this moment, what's going to happen to this dragon who's just now with the Green Army? That is just a problem for them to deal with. And I do think it's something, we were actually talking a little bit before the stream, I think it's kind of a victim of the Nettles cut, strangely. Because now, in the show, nobody who isn't a Targaryen or doesn't have Targaryen blood has claimed a dragon. But if the dragon seeds happened as they did in the book, with like someone like Nettles, who has no Targaryen blood as far as anyone knows, claiming a dragon, then they would have to be worried about, oh, is one of these members of the Hightower army just going to claim Tessarion? I don't know.
Yeah, because especially considering, Daemon wants to kill Daeron, right? Like,
yes,
he
tells us that many times.
Yes, that frees up Tessarion to be, and you could imagine the Hightowers being like, "Hey, you guys did a dragon seed plot. If we find a Targ bastard, maybe we now just have a
hey, 70-year-old Vagon."
Yes, ancient Vagon, like the throne's mine. I changed my mind.
I wish he showed up in the show. That would have been so cool. That was one of my hopes with season 1.
He gives Tessarion like a metal mask and rod, makes him an Archmaester. Oh. Archmaester Tessarion? Oh my god, someone draw that right now.
Bars.
Someone draw that. But no, yeah, I think like maybe Daemon I feel like Daemon would have been like, either we're finding a way to bring Tessarion back to King's Landing to put in the dragon pit, and then we're going to kill Daeron, and then now we have dragon, or just, if just for the sake of safety, we're going to execute the dragon, basically. Like, give over Tessarion. Vermithor
will eat Tessarion.
Basically, just fucking eat it, just tear it to shreds.
Yeah.
So they at least one line of dialogue being like, "Oh, the Hightowers have Tessarion, but what are they going to do with it?" Or we've sent dragon keepers and they will bring Tessarion back in a giant wagon. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that probably just one line would have very much solved this logistical issue, but alas, we shall see how Tessarion goes. I hope we see more of her. She's my favorite dragon.
Yeah, beautiful. The Blue Queen.
What do we got next?
Yeah.
Oh, I went too far ahead. Next up, we had some new stuff in the opening credits, which I did actually watch this time because I was at home for the 4th of July and watching it on actual HBO and not streaming. But we see Rhaenyra with Mysaria and Daemon at her sides. We see at the very end the people kind of kneeling and looking up before it all unravels. We get a rat on the throne, and then another shot of just other people at court. It looked to me like Corlys, Alicent, Helena, and I couldn't identify the last person.
Is there a last person?
There's a person next to Corlys in that shot, right?
Oh, that's just Daemon.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, that's just a continuation of like on to the right of Rhaenyra. I see.
Gotcha. Yeah. Oh yeah, the armor matches. That tracks.
So, what do we think? Obviously, this is representing Rhaenyra. This is the Rhaenyra triumphant arc. This episode is named after that chapter in Fire and Blood. Her two closest confidants being the egomaniacal Daemon, and then the sort of champion of the small folk Mysaria, tearing her in different directions. Yeah, this is a good visualization of that. Obviously, Corlys as her hand, Alicent and Helena as her hostages. The rat by the swords. The show's focus on the rats over the last 3 seasons is so much fun. Do we want to talk about the rats now? Not the feast scene, but just more.
Oh, the rats generally?
Yeah.
Generally. I think I have to say, the amount they've been focused on, I am now growing more and more confident by the day that we are going to see 100 cats by the end of this season.
I was terrified you were going to say that they're all going to be walked by Larys.
No, I do think that actually, that was a really cool theory that I did quite enjoy in season 1, but at least in the current iteration of the show as it's currently going, given how much we know of what Larys is actively doing right now, that is not the direction I think is currently happening.
It was one of the best theories I didn't want to be true.
Yes.
Like, it was like, I love this, and I would love this for another character, but not for Larys.
Perhaps a certain witch in a certain castle.
If
only someone had that on their bingo card, that'd be cool.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about bingo cards today. Okay, it's not looking good. It's not looking good for me. This season's not looking good.
I think you got one this time.
Rats. For me, the rats have always represented sort of corruption, stagnation, disease at court. Not just sort of the corruption of stagnating realm, and the nasty viper's nest that is the Red Keep, and the nasty politics of that, but also just interfamilial corruption
Yes.
and internecine warfare. And we see it in season 1 as the family's tearing apart. We see it in season 2 when the Greens take over and, of course, lead themselves to ruin. And of course, it's exacerbated by Aegon hanging the rat captures. It's like the perfect display. It's a perfect consequence of Aegon's incompetence and ruthlessness and callousness as king, is the symbol of corruption, decay. Gets worse because you've killed the people who you've killed the pest control. And then, of course, Rhaenyra takes over, and we still see the rats. So it's like, it's basically saying nothing is changing, right?
Everything changes,
the blacks
but
have come
nothing
in.
changes.
Yeah. So, say hello to the new boss, same as the old boss.
I
like what the rats. Yeah.
I think they, as well, I think they very much tie in thematically to what Condal is trying to say, and I think that they are kind of his version of A Feast for Crows, right? That is very clearly his favorite book in the series, and that book, so often uses the image of these birds feeding on the carrion left by war, and I think that the rats in the Red Keep are kind of doing the same thing with how much we get focus on them around like pools of blood, like in season 1, episode 5. And I think it's a pretty cool thematic through line, and I think we'll see that happen even more as the show goes on.
Yeah, I always thought they would just be in the background, but
Yeah.
obviously they tied in with the rat catchers, and now they tied in with the rat feast. It's like and they're in the tapestry.
The rat catchers.
The rat catchers.
God, I miss him.
I miss him too. So I'm releasing my quickie review tomorrow, and one of the lines I had in my script was that it feels like Otto's end is like increasingly feeling unceremonious.
Yes.
It's like he's barely even addressed this episode, and when he is, he's almost addressed as like a nuisance that needs to be dealt with. Like, oh yeah, Otto, we need to reference Otto. Okay, let's move on. I'm like, this was like a main character. Like, I don't know. It feels like
he did do the war.
He did the war.
Yeah, I agree.
I do tried not to do the war.
I don't know. If Rhys Ifans didn't seem so done with the show, I feel like there was a possibility we could see him in Harrenhal for someone's vision.
Yes, I get the sense he's done with the show. He came
Yes.
back for the execution scene. But yeah, it's a shame. We needed more Otto in season 2. I would have loved to have seen him in the Reach interacting with Daeron and Ormond, but if not, then yeah. Give him I wanted to see his head on a spike at least, like Jason.
That'd be
like
nice.
Jason Lannister.
Or George Bush.
Give us one last. Or George Bush. Septim Ordained, shout out. Last scene of bed.
Yeah, I really loved this opening scene. So my next video, in kind of inspiration given by this episode, is talking about like adapting Martin's viewpoint style and how that can be done. And I really liked this initial monologue by Rhaenyra as kind of an externalization of her thoughts, because I think that is something that is very difficult to translate between book and screen. We saw it in A Night of the Seven Kingdoms with Dunk talking to his horses. I thought that was particularly ingenious, but I think this was a really good like introduction to, oh, we are in Rhaenyra's head, so we are now going to have her, monologuing her thoughts a little bit to get us into that state. And I really like that. And she's, it's fun. I enjoy it.
I want to bring up the later, unless that's a specific slide, I don't think it is. There's a later bedroom scene.
Yes, I do not have a slide for that.
I might as well talk about that now, where, like she said, this room is full of ghosts, and she's still grieving her father. I don't think she's processed the grief for Viserys yet. She's still grieving Lucerys and Jacaerys, and she's still fighting the war. And even now we're in this false dawn, like this kind of false peace. She hasn't yet had a moment of actually accepting my father is dead. She hasn't had that moment, and this is really hard for her, and she doesn't want to be here. And what she does is she leaves, and she's like, I'm gonna go and sleep with Daemon in Daemon's room. I do like the touch of the royal couple having separate bedrooms, which sounds weird to our modern sensibilities, but like that's a classic noble thing from what I understand, like the separate bedrooms. Alicent and Viserys had separate bedrooms. But
True.
I also think you could see this as a metaphor of Rhaenyra. Like I said, she's torn between three pillars.
In my dragon show?
In my George show? Surely not.
Is this an 8th grade book report?
The curtains are just blue, bro. Trust me.
Okay,
no,
sorry.
Rhaenyra's torn between 3 pillars, right? Oh, the curtains are green, actually, I should have said. But she's torn between Daemon, Targaryens are gods, we're conquerors. fuck the small folk. My Zarya, I'm a woman of the people. Focus on the small folk. Fuck the nobles. And then the third pillar is the legacy of Viserys, who she wants to continue his legacy. He was calm and collected. He was peaceful, but also she knows he was weak.
Yeah.
He was weak, and I think her leaving his room and going into Daemon's bed and snuggling with Daemon is almost a metaphor for her turning away from Viserys and kind of going towards the Daemon side of things, right?
I hadn't considered
Focusing
that.
more
That's a
on-
really good catch.
You sound surprised.
No, I'm.
I it takes me a while to rub my brain cells together, but sometimes
Yeah, once in a blue moon, atoms collide.
Once in a green moon.
Oh, everything's green.
Ooh. Everything's green. Not anymore. It's all been burnt on the bonfire. All the green.
Not
merch.
yet. That's the end
She
of the
ordered all
episode. Spoilers.
Oh, sorry guys.
No one here has seen the
Yeah.
episode. This is how they're watching it.
And I can't lie, by the way. Sometimes I struggle to see Daemon and Rhaenyra, like the uncle-niece relationship. I kind of sometimes struggle to see it just because the actors look nothing like each other.
Mm-hmm.
But something about her lying on his bare chest and them holding hands, it
Beverly
really
said
hit
uncle
me.
niece to you.
These characters are related. It hit me then, and it made me go, ugh. You know what I mean? I don't know why, but
I think it's also part of it is, I mean, the actor changed. We pretty much only see Rhaenyra and Daemon interact from season 1, episode 7, Driftmark on with Emma Darcy's Rhaenyra, and that is when they like hook up for the first time and then marry that episode. So I think that's at least part of it as well. At least for me.
This is like the first intimate moment between them.
Yeah.
Since then.
Since then, at least, yeah. I had something.
Since
This
then, it's
room
been-
probably smells really bad. From Viserys and then Aegon.
Oh my god! Oh, do you reckon there's like black stains on the bed sheets? There's like charcoal.
It looks like they've been changed.
Like hot dog grease,
Oh God.
just on the sheets.
Like a sausage
Yeah,
on a
that's-
spit, perhaps.
Yeah. Oh, just
Ugh.
a greasy barbecued.
Apparently,
sausage.
they showed a. I think it was like either a screenshot or a brief, like behind the scenes clip that there was something that was cut, which was like Rhaenyra looking over her father's model of Valyria that is at least partially smashed by Aegon, which I think would have been a cool moment.
Because I thought because of the topic, I thought you were they'd cut like a prosthetic Aegon dick. I thought you were
Yeah,
gonna say
it was just in the middle of the room.
just in a box, like next to the. I was like, what the-
Balon has
Oh,
opened
that-
it with a note from Ramsay.
No, God damn it, the Red Kraken. A note from the Red Kraken.
Oh, too soon.
No, I've seen that still. Isn't that in next episode though? Is that a cut from this?
No,
episode,
I think
or
it was. I think it was cut from this episode. I don't think that was a still for next
Okay.
episode.
Okay, fair enough.
I
Because
could be wrong. This would be
I'd
a
like to
first,
see
but it could
her-
happen.
I'd like to see her react to, his Lego set. Well, his half destroyed Lego set.
Mm.
I kind of like the idea that she'll see it and be like, "Oh, the Greens, they're so evil. They destroyed his Lego set. They destroyed his legacy. They destroyed his 40k terrain and miniatures. How dare they?" In actuality, it was Aegon destroying it out of grief.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Which actually, that is one of my few issues with this episode. I was going to bring it up with the Helena scene. I guess I'll bring it up now because it's kind of organically. No Jaehaerys mention. Jaehaerys being Aegon's son, not the conciliator.
Oh yes. Oh,
That
I wanted
felt
to talk about
strange.
this. I think is there a better slide on it? No, there's a better slide to talk
Yeah,
about. it, and
we'll
it's
save
the
that
next one
for
after this.
when that is. Next up is the small council
yeah.
meeting.
The Thailand Lannister debt scheme.
Mm-hmm. Oh, text is too big.
Oh, no, don't worry, I'm the guy.
Thank
in the
you.
chair.
Thank you, guy
I
in the
got this,
chair.
bro. I got you, bro.
I love small council meetings on principle, and even though the small council is not full at this point, it is still just so much more fun than it was last season, because these are like characters and not all the same cardboard cutout like Rhaenyra's previous small council. And I love the dynamics here, like especially Daemon and Mysaria being not only kind of embittered exes, but again being the angel and devil on Rhaenyra's shoulders is really fun, and I really enjoy them. I think that Orwyle being here is a really good change from the book, because he's imprisoned for the rest of the war on Rhaenyra's orders for serving the Greens. But yeah, actually making use of this character who's been built over the past few seasons, I think is a great idea, and it's one that I think that they did quite well. I also, one issue I had is kind of that this plotline is, as it is in the books, a little dumb, in my opinion. I don't know how you feel about this.
What the treasury plotline?
Yeah, because like you could take a loan. Like, the Iron Bank is so established as a thing and was a thing in
Yeah,
this
that's
time
true.
period, and she could very easily solve this problem.
Yeah, at least have a line of dialogue being like, the Iron Bank refused to send a loan to us because
Yes.
our political position is so precarious. They don't know who's going to be sitting on the throne in a week's time. We have to wait it out. We need to show that we can stabilize our power before they're willing to give us a loan.
Which
Just give
even
us
that
one line of
line is
dialogue.
it kind of doesn't track with, like, them backing Stannis in the Winds of Winter.
No, you are completely. But that's because of Davos's Riz. That's Davos
No,
having the
that was
gift of
the
the gab,
show.
right?
In
That's the show.
Yep.
You're right. Holy shit.
In the books, it's because Cersei defaulted on the debt.
Yeah, to be fair.
Yeah.
No, I think you can get away with explaining it with something. With the Iron Bank.
Oh yeah, there is a reason in there that you could cite. They just need to cite it.
They do. But yeah, no, I agree with you about, like, I was mentioning the ideological differences between Daemon and Mysaria, tearing Rhaenyra this way and that. But what makes it more interesting is that there is a personal element. It's not just I have two confidants who are dragging me in different directions. It's the fact that they're also ex-lovers who hate each other, and I have relationships with both of them. And yeah, Rhaenyra is so much more interesting. And I agree with you. The council scenes are like the best part of Game of Thrones.
Agreed.
The best part of Hot Day. I love the council scenes when they talk about politics and logistics. And we have well, what I also like about this scene is that it's not yet a council. Like, they're not truly sitting down and actually going through things. Like, she's missing council members. People keep standing up. Corlys keeps walking to the window. Like, it doesn't feel like it still feels messy, and like we're not in session yet. This is like the kind of preliminary council while we're putting stuff together. I think the final.
I don't have a slide for it, but Corlys standing in the corner in the later council scene behind Rhaenyra made me laugh out loud.
Just being like, "I'll defer to you."
I'll defer to
you're
you.
My hand. What do you mean? Talk to. Oh, and her saying useless. And pushing the thing away.
That was a little. I was surprised Corlys didn't clap back at that.
But no, that's improv.
Oh, really?
Do you remember? No, remember the round table that HBO released with the cast?
Yeah.
Before the show came out.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Emma Darcy mentions that all the actors were talking about whether any of their improv moments made it in, and Emma Darcy said, "Yeah, there's one point where I call someone useless, and I made it in the final cut." I think that's it.
That's really funny. You're absolutely that's correct. It has to be. I will also say one criticism, in addition to debt issues. I thought Myzaria's accent was a little worse this episode.
I mean, I get.
It's funny because the last time I thought her accent was bad, she was also in King's Landing.
Daemon.
I think was pretty good for all of season 2. And I do like her as a character more than most, I think.
You thought her accent was pretty good? Come on, man.
In season 2, it was markedly better than season 1. It was at least consistent.
Better is not good, Quinn.
I'm not saying it was. Did I call it good? I meant better.
Yeah, I think this is personally. I think this is the most interesting Mysaria has been.
Agreed.
But I still fundamentally think she's a badly performed, boring character. I don't. I like what she could be. I like her conceptually. I don't like the execution at all. She's salvageable, I guess, but I think she's wormed her way, pun intended, to the top without enough friction, and in a way that felt like the writers wanted her to be a close confidant of Rhaenyra without like that being earned. And I think the accent is infuriating, and the actress is kind of awkward. And I just don't. I think it's a swing and a miss. I think
it was decently built over season 2. Her kind of gaining some of Rhaenyra's confidence, not quite to this level.
It felt forced to me. It felt forced to me.
To me, the level, like the thing that's the bigger issue with her was season 1, episode 9. Her dealings with Otto were just kind of baffling in every regard. Like giving him Aegon and then like just taking his word that like he's gonna make things better, which he doesn't because he's Otto. Like, I don't know.
You know what? I'm gonna make Tyland Lannister. Shall we save Tyland discussion for later?
Good. He's supposedly dead? We
saw him pushed into the sea.
Into the drink.
In this episode, they say. Yeah, into the drink in full plate armor, and in this episode they basically say he's lost at sea. It's possible they've just
he's gonna get Davosed.
or Core List last episode.
Oh yeah.
Literally washed up in plate armor on the rocks.
God. That's why I think it's less likely, because how are you going to do that twice and keep any like logistics?
3 times if you count Jaime Lannister being saved by Bronn.
I don't count
in
that.
full plate
I do
armor.
not count that. Don't worry.
Maybe Bronn's ancestor saved them. I don't know.
True.
But no, Thailand is. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. But it's possible they've killed him off.
Like a
Because
certain
what happens
dragon
in Fire?
who
What
was
happens
spotted
in,
dead and
what happens in-
dying.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe Baylor mistook
Tyland Lannister for Sunfire.
for Sunfire. Yeah, I
Both
saw a
gold.
golden
Both gold.
a golden thing dead and decaying, and it was actually the glorious Lannister mane. Oh my god!
Yeah.
But no,
it would
in
be
Fire
funny
and
if
Blood-
everyone they talked about in this scene as dead wasn't dead, except
God damn
Simon.
it.
Rest in peace. That was a great moment
yeah.
that I did want to talk about with Damon.
Damon's little reaction. Where he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I like that guy. He was a
it was
fun
the
gay
first time
uncle."
he's shown any sympathy for anyone, except Viserys.
Yeah, he's like, yeah. But yeah, there we go.
good scene. Good scene.
Do we have another slide for the later council scene?
We
guess
don't.
there's not that much
there wasn't
to
a
say.
ton discussed therein.
I guess okay. So for the spoiler section, I'll just add a little note on my Google Doc.
Oh yeah,
of
that is good.
Small
We now
council.
have a note section for spoilers.
Who-
This will be not spoilers. I should have said that at the top until a later section at the end.
But later on, I think we should discuss our predictions for who will be on the small council by next episode. Basically,
I
who's going to fill
agree.
all the roles.
Should I?
But
Do you think
yeah,
I should read some super chats now, or save them all for the end?
let's do some midstream super.
I was gonna say let's do a few so I don't get too behind. There was a donation before the stream with no message attached from Cyclops of Krakoa. Thank you very much. Thank you to Lord Baratheon. Did the music feel different to you guys? Yeah, it did. It was a lot more kind of ambient, I felt, and it did a great job of building the atmosphere in Rhaenyra's mind, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Thank you to Cusco Full. Spoiler. I don't think it's quite a spoiler unless you know exactly what is being talked about. Do you think the false Daeron will be Trystane real fire or true fire? I think possibly, and I think we'll delve more into that in the spoiler section. Thank you to Malcolm Ferguson. The first 2 episodes had higher highs, but this one was more consistently solid. Also, this is the 100th A Song of Ice and Fire episode. That's crazy. 73 Game of Thrones, 18 House of the Dragon, 6 Another 7 Kingdoms, and then 3 of this season of House of the Dragon. That's crazy.
Shit. Damn.
I've not seen anyone else bring that up anywhere. That's such a great spot.
It's a good one to be number 100. Pretty
Yeah.
decent episode.
Um,
Very good episode.
Thank you to QuickSave786. Quinn, please don't leave us alone with Haven. He spoiled everything, including that we're all going to die at some point in our lives. It was upsetting. That must have been last stream. I won't leave you guys alone this time. Don't worry.
It's in the epilogue of Fire and Blood. Everyone watching this stream dies. I'm sorry.
Thank you to Mad Dog. I liked it, but a lot of the writing I didn't. Why would Daemon leave a dragon? Why would Rhaenyra piss off the nobles? Why is Mysaria so involved? She sucks. Mysaria is a very divisive character from what I've seen. But yeah, the dragon thing I think we addressed a little bit. And the noble thing we will get to with the rat feast. Because I do think it's a pretty questionable political move. Thank you to Quick Save. I really liked this episode. It's an amazing premiere. I've watched it 3 times and it's a 9 out of 10. I'm glad Rhaenyra as a protagonist is doing something interesting. I hope she isn't as passive in Tumbleton. I agree. We'll see how she's involved in that. Thank you to Julfer Wanker. Mysaria has to be a self-insert of Hess. She has a ridiculous amount of influence. She treats the nobles like equals. When Celtigar did, he was roasted. That is a good point with her getting a lot more leeway than Celtigar does, but I think it's also that she has approached Rhaenyra in a way that Rhaenyra is more responsive to, like listening to her more, also maybe kissing her or being kissed by her, which Celtigar did not do, so maybe that was the issue. Let's see. Thank you to
Where
a
is
channel...
Celtigar, man?
What was that?
Where is he?
I know,
Bring
we need him back.
Barty. Where the Barty see?
Let's see. Thank you to a channel of Ice and Fire. Excellent Ice and Fire channel, as that name would imply. I personally loved Rhaenyra Triumphant. Felt a lot like a Cersei viewpoint chapter from Feast. I love the politics and earring effect. Also, Torn Manderly. What an absolute goat. We'll get to him. He's the best. I do think this was very Cersei chapter in Feast. It also felt a lot like Daenerys in Meereen to me, which I know might not be your favorite thing.
Yeah, no, very famous. We need our Danny Marine 8 hour debate at some point.
Yeah, yeah,
Debate
that we
Bro.
do some off season.
No, this is a good version of that. This is a good version of a monarch who's completely out of her depth, and is struggling, dealing with drastically changing political and even cultural situation. This is what I'd want from Daenerys and Meereen, to be honest.
Agreed.
More of this and less of their arousal aroused her, or whatever the fuck.
Daenerys 3 is a very bad chapter, and I will never argue that. Thank you to Cusco Full. Best thing this episode is Rhaenyra making mistakes, trying to be like for the common people in scenes that resemble Aegon in season 2. I did really like that they both seem to be very bad at this, but in very different ways. I thought that was a fun way to show that, like, probably neither of the people fighting this war to win the throne are all that suited for the throne.
Yeah, because it would kind of be going against the theme of the dance to be like, oh, one
Which
of them
these
is actually a really
monarchs
good
is
ruler.
the best?
Yeah. Which of these monarchs is actually, deigned by the god to rule? Is it the one named by her father, or is it the one who happens to be a male? Or, like, maybe it's neither, because your bloodline doesn't determine whether you're a good ruler.
Maybe. That's a bold statement for an Englishman.
Listen. I'm appealing the American audience.
Thank you to Quick Save.
Appeasing. Not appealing, sorry, appeasing.
Would like a line from Daemon saying you would not allow Daeron to pose a threat by mounting Tessarion and expecting Tessarion to follow after. That could have been a good way to handle it. Just any line, I think, would have been good.
But then how would you have got away with it? Because obviously,
the
plot...
Because obviously Tessarion's not going to follow. Thank you to Joel for Ranker again. 10 out of 10, if not for Mysaria and Daeron plot hole. I'm not sure which plot, maybe it's a Tessarion thing. Ormond was so good. Bold John has an amazing haircut. Manderly a scene stealer. Tyland to better live. I agree with most of that. Thank you to Mad Dog. Why would Rhaenyra not legitimize them when she did in the books with no issue? And why did Corlys openly yell treason? Why did Daemon flip and want to conquer, etc.? I think we'll address each of those questions in turn as we get to the slides, probably.
Daemon did not flip. I'm not sure.
I was going to say, this was very in character for Daemon.
Yeah, since season 1, they've been building this.
Thank you to the Great Splodge. Ulf used a glass candle in the tavern to watch the England game. I would believe it. Let's see.
Wait.
Ricky Sanchez, thank you. What did Daemon do with Tessarion? Love you guys. He just left him there, or her there. Sorry.
Yeah, just left him there. Should have been clarified in some way what their plan was, even if it's as simple as send loyal dragon keepers to basically guard him, look after him, and we'll bring him to King's Landing later.
I wonder if dragon keepers could bring Tessarion back.
We should just like put a leash on him, walk him all the way to King's Landing.
Something like that.
Could he fit in a big wagon, a dragon wagon?
If anybody, that's something we need art of.
Just feed him a bunch of milk and a poppy so he goes to sleep.
Poor Tessarion. I mean, she's small enough. If anything, could. Thank you to Cusco Full Accent Corner. Is it me, or did the Dragon Keeper at the end have a different Valyrian accent than the one of Rhaenyra and Daemon? I thought so too, but I was also kind of distracted by his voice being the coolest thing in the world.
And he's the guy from season 1 who
that
has
is a
the
great
cool
point.
Voice. You could say his accent's different because the difference that in the books, the Dragon Keepers are basically like guards who guard the dragons. In the show, they're like a cult. I get the impression that they're like a monk-like cult. Like you're literally born and raised as a Dragon Keeper. They exclusively talk Valyrian, right? So they probably have the proper accent, whereas, because that's their first language, whereas for Rhaenyra and Daemon, their second language is Valyrian, so they probably have a more like Westerosi tinged accent.
More studied
to their...
as well.
Yeah.
Thank you to Fire Flame Fine. Very excited to see what they do with Tumbleton and the idea that history is written by the victors. I still think Daeron is Crispy Cole's boy. That is a theory I've seen bounced around a lot, especially now that we know Daeron appears to have dark hair, though it could still be dyed, given that Ormond Hightower seems to be operating a salon. But in season 2, episode 8, Kristen effectively says to Gwaine that his affair with Alicent didn't begin until after the king was dead. Whether that was to absolve Alicent or is actually the truth, I read it as kind of the truth. So I don't super think that it's likely that he is Kristen's kid.
I would hate that.
I agree.
I think that would be completely pointless. I meant people were theorizing this like a couple of years ago, even that like,
yes,
are they gonna make?
That was an old.
No,
theory.
I would hate that. I would hate that.
As would I.
It would serve no purpose beyond just wow, Alison sure is a hypocrite, isn't she? But
Which
like
she already
it would
is.
go,
Like, what?
she is, but it would go beyond regular Alison hypocrisy and into completely irrational, like complete nonsense.
Also, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you to Quick Save. I like the hair dyeing plot, like Dayron as a non-dragon warfare. Could be used as a moral boost if publicly displayed on the march, but as a dragon rider, his identity being hidden is more important. It is a very interesting political gambit, and I'm excited to see more of Ormond's plan with Hightower next episode. Hightower, Tumbleton, Jesus.
I suspect next episode is going to be a very
Yes.
Hightower Reach subplot heavy episode. I think that'll be our proper introduction to the plays of the Reach.
Yes, and we've heard quite a bit about some of the stuff that might go on there from some early reviews that I'll address in the spoiler section. Thank you to Lord Mullendor. It's funny, Rhaenyra's first on-screen conversation with one of her siblings was with fake Daeron. That's true. That is an issue I have with the show. And then, yeah, looks like we have a few more and then we'll be up to date. Thank you to Sylvie Braybach. The music and sound design of this episode was incredible. I felt so tense watching it. It was relatable to see Rhaenyra get her period as well. I've really been enjoying your talk so far. I hope you both have a good day. I hope you have a good day as well, Sylvie. Pioneer 10F, thank you very much. A certain witch at a certain castle with a certain prince and a certain goat. That is something we didn't talk about in the small council scene, with Aemond having been vanished, seemingly, and more interestingly, Vhagar having vanished.
Well, you know, we know Vhagar's the master of stealth from the Battle of Rook's Rest.
That is true, and from
Vhagar knows
the
how
Battle
to...
over Storm's End.
Yeah, Vhagar knows how to secrete herself. Well, Harrenhal's big, you know. The
Not
Isle
that
of Faces
big.
is there. Could be hiding in the trees.
That's
like lying in the trees.
underwater in the God's Eye.
Yeah, yeah, little maybe got like a Sandy Cheeks helmet.
Oh,
like
that's
a fishbowl.
We're producing a lot of art pitches this stream.
Yeah, please draw this. Tag us on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah. Thank you to Joel for Mike again. Mazaria's accent is terrible. I'm going to the pub. Enjoy the pub. I forget who's playing for the World Cup right now. Thank you to Jesse Travis. What was that?
Switzerland beat Colombia.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Let's go.
Thank you to Jesse Travis. The Blacks could just solve their money problem by extracting money from the Triarchy. No, they have the dragons to get it done. Yes, but we see that kind of rationale dismissed by Rhaenyra in her scene with Daemon later this episode. Thank you to Yanverb. Can't believe I actually correctly predicted that they'll get the bastard blood shed at war speech, even if reworded. We did kind of get that from Corliss, didn't we? I hadn't put that together. Not quite.
Yeah, not 1-to-1. Again, I would like some 1-to-1 Fire and Blood lines.
For the good lines, at least.
Yeah, not the when the cat's away, the rats will play type shit.
Well, hey, the rats were playing this episode. In fairness,
the rats did play. They played in the kitchen a bit too hard. And
then last super chat to take us up to date and tying perfectly into the slide we're currently on from Amontije 7343. Septon was being openly anti-dragon, so do you think he might be involved in the storming of the dragon pit, or are they just showing the sentiment is building amongst people? Very good question. Elements of that are spoilery, so I won't, fully address that, but I don't think he is directly involved. I think he is more showing the sentiments of the common people. What did you think of this this confrontation here?
Are we officially moving on to...
I believe we are.
Have we not? We've skipped the Alicent slide.
Did we? Oh, I think I accidentally went too forward. Oops. Okay.
Either you went too forward, or I accidentally.
I did go too forward. My slide is lagging quite a bit, but we should be good.
No. Okay, you good with starting? We could do the Faith one first.
No, let's do this one.
Follow off from that super chat. The Alicent one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So. The big issue, I mean, you kind of got it in the caption there. The big issue I have here is okay, first off, you know this, I'm really annoyed by Jo Alicent. I think she's far less interesting than she could have been if she were like a really powerful schemer, a true Team Green loyalist who was part of the coup from the beginning, a sort of a fun villainess, a Cersei character, and I think she's just been rendered really, really boring. And I even think that because of those secret meetings and her selling out her sons and all that, it means that the meetings in this episode are far less emotionally impactful.
I agree.
Like, imagine they haven't seen each other since that Viserys feast on the night he died. Imagine this was the first time. You could have a whole 10-minute emotional scene. You know that argument between Rhaenyra and Daemon in Rhaenyra the Cruel, that amazing
Yeah.
scene? You could have had something similar with Rhaenyra versus Alicent, but
God, that
instead,
would have been
because they've
excellent.
had those meetings, because Alison's just kind of an odd character at the moment, these scenes fell flat for me. They weren't bad, but it was just a bit kind of bit lame, bit awkward. All the mentions about Otto was almost as if Otto was like Alicent was acting like Otto's death inconvenienced her almost, and I can't get over how hypocritical she's being with the whole like, oh, actually, we should let Aegon, maybe you should let Aegon live and just pretend he died and let him go about his life. And, oh, wait, so you're going to lock us away until Aemon's dead? I have to sit here waiting for my own son's death. And, oh, you're going to send Daeron to the Night's Watch? I'm meant to be grateful. I'm like, you sold out your sons at the end of last season. You literally did a deal that Rhaenyra takes King's Landing and Aegon fucking dies. And by extension, Aemond is killed. And Daeron as a male claimant, kind of high on that list as well.
Yeah.
Why is she now acting like all high and mighty and like I'm so annoyed by that. And then beyond the Alicent being annoying and uninteresting, I love Helena in the show. Great performance, really interesting character. I want some kind of scene between Rhaenyra and Helena. They have not interacted once. Like in Fire and Blood, she mentions in season 2 that she's sweet. She's like, why would I possibly murder Jaehaerys? Why would I punish Helena like that? I wanted some kind of interaction, and most importantly, I think this is the best time to mention it. I know I'm throwing a lot at you right now, Quinn.
No, you're good.
We need to address Jaehaerys and Blood and Cheese. To me, it feels like Blood and Cheese has not impacted the show since episode 3.
Agreed.
No, scratch that. Episode 2 of season 2. No one's brought it up. No one mentions it. There's nothing about the nobles or the small folk thinking she's a child murderer. Alicent brought it up last season, but Helena isn't like, oh, hey, did you actually murder my son? Like, the hanging of the rat catchers has been referenced and has had greater consequences than Blood and Cheese and the murder.
You're
of Paris.
exactly right. I never.
Like,
Oof.
it's ridiculous.
The wet
Why
bandits.
is it not being mentioned? Like, there should be a moment where she like sits on her own throne and she's like, or she talks to the small folk, or there has to be a scene where she's like, oh yes, the usurper spread lies about the death of his son. His son died of, I don't know, natural causes, and he spread
His
evil
head
lies
just
that
fell
I killed
off.
him. His head, he sneezed really hard and his head fell off.
Like JFK.
Like that one, who's that one like crazy French king who thought his head was made of glass and he was terrified it was going to fall off and shatter?
Huh?
Don't know who that guy was. Yeah, there's some fascinating European history lore there. But anyway, subscribe to History Haven to find out.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I found these scenes the least interesting because, as I said, Alicent is being ridiculous and she's a boring character. I need more interactions with Helena. Why are we ignoring Blood and Cheese? I'm rambling. I'm repeating myself. What do you think?
I agree with you that this was very much robbed of a lot of its potential, not only from not talking about Blood and Cheese whatsoever, but I don't know, this being the first interaction between Rhaenyra and any of her siblings just makes me kind of angry because, like, the key to any Civil War storyline is the fact that these sides to the conflict have a pre-existing and established relationship, and you can explore those relationships in an interesting context of actively being in conflict against one another. And I think we really lose out on that by having no conversations between Rhaenyra and Aegon, or Rhaenyra and Aemon, or until now, Rhaenyra and Helena. And I think that it's something that I think is one of the biggest missed opportunities of the show, and I think the fact that the characters have been so separated since has kind of logistically prevented any further conversation from happening, so we're not really going to see it again.
As I said earlier in the stream, I think season 1 needed 12 episodes instead of 10. The ideal season 1. And we needed one post-time skip episode that was Rhaenyra and Aegon, Aemond, Helena, like, actually interacting. Like, or even just the scene where they have the dinner scene with Viserys' last feast, right? Just like some exchange between Rhaenyra and her siblings.
Because they were sitting like 10 feet from each other.
Like, she could just like greet them one at a time, and I don't know.
I wouldn't be okay with that, because then that would just feel like ticking a box, like an actual conversation.
It would. An actual conversation, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I know I do, just to throw something positive here. the nice detail, Alicent, Helena wearing a sort of a bluey green, symbolizing that they're like detaching themselves from the Green faction and from
Yes.
King's Landing politics and just trying to get on with their life. I just think that's a boring route for Alicent, but like for Helena, I like that as a visual touch, and I liked her performance. I like the way Helena was moving her hands in this scene.
Yes.
I don't know that
It
kind of
reminded me of young Allison, actually.
interesting.
Yeah, with her little
The
like
kind of fidgety, nervous
cuticle
hands.
thing.
Yeah,
Let's see.
nice.
And now we can go to the slide that I thought was next.
Well,
With
that was a bit of a rambly slide from me, Lars. So I think it can only be you who
yeah,
can justify.
Cersei 6, A Feast
is
for
your
Crows,
moment.
is a pretty good chapter in which Cersei talks with and unknowingly creates a very big enemy in the Faith. And I think that this episode is very rightly being compared to Cersei's viewpoint chapters and Feast for Crows. And I think this is one of the strongest points in favor of that. I love this scene. I think the dialogue in this scene might have been my favorite of the episode because it was just thoroughly well written on both sides, and I think it did a good job of showing the difference between the Targaryens and the culture of this land they've conquered, and it is really interesting to see. My only criticism, which is such a nitpick of this scene, is the fact that this isn't Eustace, and I wish it was Eustace. This is Septon Ballman, who is a character that does not seem to exist in the books, which is fine. Inventing characters is fine, but Septon Eustace is one of our sources in Fire and Blood, and it would have been so cool to see him.
That's true, but I do want to jump in and say there's a reason why this isn't Septon Eustace, and that's because this is the High Septon.
Oh, I see. Didn't Eustace become High Septon at some point?
I can't remember, but the reason why he's High Septon is because it's the same actor from season one.
Yeah.
Quite a few, and that guy is explicitly stated as being, Aegon was anointed by the High Septon. Now that begs the question. Again, this is a bit nitpicky. Why is the High Septon in King's Landing when the seat of the High Septon is a Starry Septon Old Town at this point, before the building of the Sept of Baelor? But I don't know.
I think
he's there in King's
honestly,
Landing.
You know what I would buy as a reason?
What?
Otto just wanting to have the High Septon on hand because Viserys was super clearly near death in order to anoint Aegon at a moment's notice.
And you can, I buy it more that it's like the High Towers have fully taken over the Red Keep and being like, hey, High Septon, why don't you try living in the Red Keep for like a few months or maybe a few years or something just to mix it up.
And I like the way the rhetoric around dragons is reflected in this scene, because like if we look at the main series, we're told of the common people of King's Landing telling stories of like, oh, the dragons will come again to burn away all of these corrupt lions. And I think it is interesting that, like, depending on the power of the day, I think the opinion on dragons is very much influenced by that. Because I think in the modern series, dragons are a fantasy. They're a myth. They're something that hasn't been seen in hundreds of years. So the commoners kind of long for that previous time. But now we're in that previous time and we see the true feelings of the faith towards this very dark blood magic.
Yeah, I suspect the purpose of this scene is to set up tensions, not just between Rhaenyra and Daemon and the Faith. You can imagine, especially with Daemon, right? The whole sort of the dragon riders are basically like gods and so on. It's not just to set up tension with the Faith, but it's also to set up a tension with the small folk. There's yet another reason why the small folk might take issue with the rule of both the Greens and the Blacks. Could be that they just start, having anger against the Targaryens, against these ethereal people riding weapons of mass destruction, essentially, and like the idea that they're sort of almost inherently that they're riding sinful beasts, and that the small folk, they're starving, they're being massacred, and then on top of it, maybe they'll be stirred up by religious figures. Like it's all just kind of
It's interesting stuff to examine, and I hope he doesn't get blown up with no consequence.
yes. I hope she does not do a Cersei Guy Fawkes moment. But no, this was a really interesting chat, and it's good to just see the Faith brought into the story in some capacity, because I think the role of the Faith is not just massively underplayed in Game of Thrones, not just underplayed in Hot D so far, but if I'm being honest, religion is severely underplayed in A Song of Ice and Fire in general. Agreed. That's a conversation for another time, and maybe not everyone agrees with me, but I thought this was a really necessary and interesting conversation, and I think there's going to be a rift between Rhaenyra, Daemon, and the High Septon and the Faith, and maybe even the small folk. Yeah.
I agree, because we're boring.
God, we are boring.
I don't know what to caption this one.
We need to disagree on something.
I liked this dinner scene. I liked that Adam had dialogue. That was something that I thought was sorely missing from last episode. Because Adam is a very interesting character, and I think it's very important to establish his motivations for what's to come. And I liked Corlys kind of trying to, be more politically active here and actually ask Rhaenyra for something, almost mirroring him asking Viserys to marry his daughter in the first season, second episode. Though obviously this is much less of an ask than that one. And I do think it was, Corlys has been 3 for 3 in these episodes. We have another slide later on how this ends up, but it is neat to see him being more active generally.
Yeah, this was I disagree with you, Quinn. I hated this scene. Let's argue about it. I like it when Adam doesn't speak.
It's a strong silent type.
I don't think Alan being awkward at the dinner table was really funny at all.
I did think that was pretty good.
Yeah, no, I can't keep up the bit. No, this was a good scene. Yeah, Alan is so...
Alan,
of him being
every scene he's in, I
awkward.
love. He is one of my favorite characters these days.
The way he was looking around, like he's like, I'm not used to this. I'm at the Queen's table eating fine food. This is not what I'm used to. What's going on? Yeah, there's lots of fun. Yeah, this does set up, I guess, the climax of this scene, not this scene, but of this little subplot we'll talk about in a later slide.
Yes.
There's a lot to talk about, but yeah, it's an interesting position for Rhaenyra, where she's trying to get to grips with ruling King's Landing and dealing with all sort of different interests, and and then you have her hand being like, listen, I want my bastard sons legitimized, and Rhaenyra can't quite bring herself to actively say yes in this scene. She's just like, oh, good for you. That's so nice of you. And also they
Go on.
I was just gonna say and I think they mentioned this in season 2 anyway, but they kind of flipped around the ages with Alan being the older one, which is fine. Like, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't believe it otherwise. Like, Alan just gives older brother energy.
Yeah. I also, damn it, I had something. Oh, I think this scene was logistically a good inclusion, because it kind of shows, like, we're with Rhaenyra for this entire day, and it's kind of this building levels of stress over the course of it. And we, like, get to see that even her, like, having dinner is still her getting petitions, which is very much adding to the constant increasing stress levels. And we do see this with Cersei and A Feast for Crows taking a bunch of dinner meetings.
Yeah, everything is politics. There's no escape for her. As I said earlier, even her deciding to sleep in Daemon's bed instead of Viserys could be seen as a metaphor for even the personal being politics. Like, there is no escape. She can't even enjoy a nice, what's that, duck? Is that a duck? A quail,
it looked like
maybe?
Well, it's one of those little birds.
Fetch me one of these little birds.
God, we'll get to Ulf. I love Ulf.
We will get to that scene. That might be one of my favorite scenes, the knighting scene. We'll get to that one.
Agree. But first, we have to cover the first day of school. Rhaenyra's getting all ready. She's got her backpack all packed.
Oh, the first days are.
I love the framing of this shot. I think it's very cool, and it shows like what goes into being in that kingly or queenly presence generally.
Why is she mogging like that? No, I like
it's House of the Dragon.
Details. That's true. The details of like, what am I wearing? She's like, I don't want too much jewelry. I don't want to, come across as almost like too vain or too feminine or anything. It's like, I'm a strong queen. I'm a warrior queen. I'm gonna wear like a sort of like dramatic, broad-shouldered dress. I'm gonna have my crown, and I'll bring the sword with me. But then Alinda Massey's like, that kind of projects too much aggression when you're trying to help the small folk. And like the detail that's going into that is like even just the fashion of it.
And like wearing a chain to convey strength, and like I also really liked Alinda and Rhaenyra's dynamic in this scene. Alinda's been kind of a subtle presence in the show since the first season, and I think it's neat that like Rhaenyra has kind of a friend and a handmaiden here, and it seems like kind of a, I don't know, this is the one scene in the episode where Rhaenyra isn't actively dealing with like petitioners or people asking her things, I think, and it's
she has
a reprieve.
She has a hype girl.
Yes,
it's nice. It's nice to have a hype girl, and I don't know if I go so far as to say friend, but it's good to just have like a companion that isn't inherently political, like just a female companion that isn't like Mazaria, someone who's just like bigging her up, giving her support, giving her advice, providing some kind of maybe they are friends.
I was gonna say they seem like friends to me.
I kind of view it as that because she's so much
She does
higher
kind of
status
work for her, but I think
Linda.
they're close. They're work friends.
You could be friends with your employees.
That's true.
But yeah, what did you think about the so in this episode, Rhaenyra basically is on her period.
Yes.
And there's been some discourse about that. I'm immediately gonna throw it over to you. So
Thanks. Yeah.
have fun.
I think that the way it was framed was pretty well done. When I first heard that like this was going to be happening in this episode, because for those who don't like know, this episode or parts of it leaked on Twitter like days beforehand. I didn't watch any of the leaks, but everyone was talking about what was going on, and I was worried that this would be framed as a bigger thing than it was. As it currently stands, it's just kind of a thing that is added to the pile of things that is continuing to, pile on Rhaenyra and just kind of weigh her down. And it does, I think, very realistically show something that is, an inconvenience to half of the world's population and does genuinely cause physical pain. But also, I think that it being included does run at least a little bit of a risk of, like, certain, misogynistic viewers who are going to take it in bad faith and the whole, saying that she's
Like
not
me.
it's not ruling well because of it or something, which is clearly not the case and not how it's
That's
framed.
not the intention.
But,
I saw
like-
some people were like, when the leaks came out, they said, "Oh, Rhaenyra is on her period this episode, and she's shouting and snapping at everyone, and like it's a really
she
like
isn't.
sexist." It's like, no, she doesn't. That's not what happens in the episode. She's just like uncomfortable when she gets on with her day.
I also like that
it's
we
just-
didn't see it at all, in that like it wasn't made to be this grand thing, because it's something that happens. And like I was worried that it was going to be in the book. Rhaenyra, the first time she sits the throne, very famously is cut on the throne and is bleeding, and people see it as the throne having spurned her. And I saw people on Twitter saying, oh, people are going to think that this bleeding is her getting cut on the throne, and that's what the legend is. And that would have been so terrible. And
It would have been really ham-fisted. It
Very
would have been way
ham-fisted.
too on the nose of like, the throne is rejecting her because it's cut her. Like, no, it's just because I'm a woman. You think that way. It would have been so like.
that would not have been
but
great.
I thought it was tasteful, and
Agreed.
it's kind of like a microcosm of
Yes.
the issues she faces as a character. Of by nature of being a woman, she's having her claim disputed, and ruling is harder, and her male confidants and allies don't necessarily treat her with as much respect as they could. And this kind of represents like a part of her biological reality, almost holding her back slightly this episode, making her a bit more stressed and uncomfortable. And I thought it was dealt with tastefully. Period. That's all I can say.
And it's very,
very
I
much.
think, well handled, and it does help that, like, a woman wrote this episode, a woman directed this episode, which is, I feel like, at least in the first show, there wasn't as much of that, which is, I think, good to see here. It's more from that female viewpoint, as this entire episode is from Rhaenyra's viewpoint.
Yeah, this is the Foyd episode.
Let's move on. But then we get to
yes.
Rhaenyra ruling from the throne, and this is obviously kind of mirroring Aegon's first day on the throne, which we saw in season 2, episode 1, where he's like, "Oh, I'll restore your flock. Of course, I don't want to make this one person mad because they're in front of me." And I thought it was very neat that, I think I said this earlier, but that her and Aegon are framed as both being bad at this, but both in different ways. And it's because, like, Aegon, I think, is more actively terrible and unprepared, but it's also clear that the stress doesn't really get to him because he doesn't really give a shit about anything. Whereas
doesn't know what's
Rhaenyra,
going
I think,
on.
is very much feeling the pressure.
Yeah, it's two kinds of sort of it's two characters being out of their depth in
Yes.
different ways. Aegon is sort of completely incompetent and callous, and Rhaenyra is kind of like, yes, she's stressed, yes, she's grieving, yes, she's exhausted, but also you get the sense that she's just not built for this. And I don't know if the writers are intending that, but I hope they are, because one of the claimants, none of them should be the ones who are actually the perfect ruler, because that goes against the whole point, right?
I'm
and
trying
yeah,
to think
I
of
do
if
like
anybody in this show would be a, like, good ruler. And I'm coming up short.
Gwaine
Corlys,
Hightower.
maybe?
Corlys would be dope.
Rhaenys, I think, if we forget about the Dragon Pit scene.
But she's the queen who never was, and we're focusing on the queen who ever
That's
was
a great
right now.
point.
Can we just say this might be the single best like promo still of any
Agreed.
episode
Ever. It's
This
incredible.
is so good. This will be on every thumbnail.
It's
for the next
already
2
been in
years.
one of mine.
It's gonna be in my quickie thumbnail tomorrow.
Yeah, it's
the
such a
best
good
one.
shot.
But yeah, no, the issues that were presented to Rhaenyra, I just, again, kind of like with the Aegon scene, I find it so interesting. Where it's like, oh yeah, we need the sheep to feed the dragons, but can we get some money? And game is sparce, and we want food.
Sparce?
And Rhaenyra's like, well, hunt in the Kingswood, why don't you? And Corlys was like, oh, only that's for nobility. That kind of
We should
offensive.
discuss that in private, Your Grace.
Yeah, he loudly shouts in front of all the peasants, "This is a matter to discuss in private." Like, he kind of shuts her down. It's like, you couldn't have like whispered that in her ear instead of embarrassing her.
Otto did exactly that with Aegon at one point, but he did like turn around and whisper to him rather than yell it.
Yeah, he did.
Which also could speak
maybe
to Otto being a more experienced hand of the king than Corlys, because he had been doing it for like 2 decades at that point, and this is Corlys' first day on the job.
Definitely better optics.
What do we think about Rhaenyra trying to save Robert Baratheon's life?
By allowing boars to be hunted. Well, I don't think it was Rhaenyra who said that. I think.
Oh no, she said that they wouldn't be. So she's trying to kill. No. She's possessed by Bloodraven, trying to kill. Robert. Got it.
Yeah. Bloodraven, went inside her and was like, "Do not hunt the boars. Do not hunt the stags, because Robert Baratheon must die." And
then he walked the boar.
Ice and Fire must. And then he walked the boar later. That was when he fast forwarded on the timeline, and then But then he went into the wrong boar by accident, because this was young Bloodraven, inexperienced. He accidentally went in the one that attacked Rhaenyra when she was younger, and then got killed by Kristen. Young Blood. It's just called Young Blood. Okay, but yeah, actually, just to kind of build off of not necessarily this scene, but all the little logistical things we see during those sort of West Wing Succession style, fast-paced characters moving through a corridor, people coming in, like oh, we're running out of tallow. We need to requisition some, but we don't have enough money. And
why would you ask the Queen
in dark? Yeah, like a scepter walks up to her and says, "We need to discuss the matter of the bedchamber," and it's like, what the fuck is happening in the bedchamber that needs the Queen's reaction? But the thing is, there is no chain of command. There is not even a proper small council yet. It makes sense that people are like, we have issues. We need to go to someone. Go to the Queen, because like she hasn't properly established her power base yet.
Yeah.
And even there was like fun little lines you noticed with the subtitles on. Like, they said that the Arbor has been captured by Hightower Bannerman, and so the price of wine has tripled.
Oh wow! I did not catch that. I need to turn on subtitles.
Such a fun little little detail that's being thrown out. It's like, it's just interesting. Yeah, someone in the chat saying they got rid of all the middle managers. Yeah, I love that stuff. I love the fun little logistical stuff.
I agree. But then we move to the Knights of the Seven Kingdoms, and I think maybe the funniest moment of the show so far for me with Ulf.
Targaryen. So all rise. Sorry, everyone bow. Everyone in the chat, please bow. Please bend the knee for Sir Ulf of House Targaryen.
First of his name.
He thought he could get away with. That's so funny.
I love him. So Tom Bennett that's his name, right?
Yes.
I got it mixed because I got Finn Bennett in my head from A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and I thought I was doing something wrong. But yeah, he's just so funny, and like all of the behind the scenes stuff with him is also pretty excellent.
These three seem like they're just having a blast behind the scenes.
Oh yeah.
And like Clinton Liberty, who plays Adam, takes a selfie with like every single person. 50% of behind the scenes footage just comes from Clinton Liberty's Instagram at this point.
Yes.
But yeah, this was a great scene, and it was a great character moment for all three of them.
Yeah.
Like Ulf just not knowing what's going on. The fact he chose white, because in the books he's Ulf the White, in the show he kind of have grey hair, and that's intentional because characters are often like, are you genuinely a Targ bastard? Are you bullshitting? So that's almost him like claiming his Targness. He's like, I can't have the name Targaryen, but I can call myself Ulf the White and kind of like LARP as a true Targaryen almost. And he seems so proud of himself. And then Hugh is obviously, he's proud of the fact that he's a blacksmith, because the whole point is that he left his, prostitute mother to forge his own path out of shame almost. He's like, I'm a smith by trade, call me Hugh Hammer. And then we get to Adam, and instead of Adam Velaryon, she named him Adam of Hull, which I found that whole, it was so interesting for all three dragon seeds, that whole scene. And
yes.
I also, even for Daemon, clearly just doesn't have much time for these lowborn.
We're also never going to get the full knighting words. I think those are the full knighting words. I think it's just 3 of the 7.
Are you allowed to knight 3 people with one vow?
Are you
Like
going
he
to stop
stretched out.
Damon from doing it?
I like the idea that like that doesn't count, and so they're gonna have to
They're each a
summon them back
third
and do
knight?
it properly. Didn't that happen with like Obama or something?
What?
Where like something like he put his hand on the wrong place or he said the words wrong or something. So after the official swearing in as president, he had to do it again in private like the next day to make it official because it wasn't done properly because someone messed up.
I
I'm
don't
sure
know
I
if
read that
that's
somewhere.
true.
It might. It's some president I think didn't do it. But like I don't know. But you can imagine a situation where they're brought in later, like, okay, we're gonna knight you for real. 'Cause
Your
Damon
chat
just.
is telling you that happened in Veep, Haven.
Oh shit! That happened in Veep. Oh, that wasn't Obama. Okay, I thought that was Obama. Fair play.
That's
I
hilarious.
swear to God that. God damn it. Anyway, but yes, no, this was a nice little moment.
We also got a scene with Hugh right after this, which I do not have a slide for, of
Ooh.
him asking Rhaenyra for like lodging for him and his wife. He says his wife has left for Tumbleton, which we see in the trailer for the next time she is there. And I do question if she's going to be in Tumbleton next episode. Why was she in King's Landing this past episode in episode 2? Like that's kind of
Yeah, like they wanted a shot of her looking up, but like, why is she? Why did she leave?
I don't know. I feel like that
Yeah,
shot of her
very-
looking up could have happened at Tumbleton.
Yeah,
Yeah, but no.
I don't know.
Also, I've wanted to say this for the past, I think, 3 episodes, including the season 2 finale. I love Hugh's armor, and it reminds me of the Hound. That is all.
Yes, I love all of their costumes, like post being dragon seeds. They're no longer wearing kind of lowborn costumes. You've got really cool armor, and then Ulf having like it's sort of the more kind of the fancier doublet because
Yeah.
Ulf is clearly the one who has like he's the most ambitious and he's the most kind of obsessed with the idea of like status and wealth and rising above his station. So I like what it says about each of their personalities.
Agreed. But then we have the other scene of Rhaenyra and Alicent talking. I enjoyed this one more than the other one, mostly because I wasn't as annoyed that she hasn't talked to her siblings. I like that Alicent was petitioning to send Otto's corpse back to Old Town. That is realistic, and it kind of tracks with Ned Stark's bones being an object of some trajectory in the main series, and it makes sense that Rhaenyra might have these conversations with Alicent, considering, as Rhaenyra brings up in this scene, Alicent was effectively Queen Regent for around a decade, so she is kind of the most experienced individual in the realm at ruling the realm to some degree.
I kind of wish that when she was like, "Can you send my father's bones back?" I kind of wanted Rhaenyra to say, "Yes, of course." Pause, and then, "But I will keep his head. His head needs to be mounted above the battlements, as befits all traitors." You know what I mean? Like a compromise.
Yeah.
His body can go back. His head is staying. But yeah, no. Yeah. I guess Alicent is going to be another ally on Rhaenyra's shoulders. We have Daemon, we have Mysaria. Alicent's going to be one of them. I just think the dynamic would be so much more interesting if she were like an actual schemer from Team Green, and
But you
not what
would
she's
say
become,
that there
but I
is
don't
a
know.
court beef triangle at work here.
I would argue that there's a court beef square, if anything.
Yeah, so I think I'm extra good on that square.
So I think therefore your square doesn't count because a triangle is 3, and there's 4 players here. So yeah, I think you're able to tick off a bit in the bingo. Bingo at the end. By
Bingo
the way,
at the end, people. I know that's what you're all here to see.
Spoilery bingo. I'm so screwed.
I'm so
Can I just
happy.
quickly
Bingo is such a fun thing to have going every season.
And the fact it's such a good idea for us to have separate ones instead of the same one.
Dueling bingo.
Yeah, I'm so screwed. There's only,
You can do it. I believe in you. Your super chat ones were better than my super chat ones.
You were like, I said I want Daeron to be knighted to Daeron the Daring. You're like, oh, that's obviously going to happen. That doesn't. It might not happen.
It might not
'cause
happen.
Honey wine clearly isn't happening.
Yeah.
Also, apparently, I'm right about Obama, according to some people in the comments.
No, Chad is saying that
2009
Obama said the word slightly wrong or something. I guess.
Obama.
I don't
had
know.
to like redo it again in private. I was right.
When I taught U.S. history, it was the Gilded Age. It was not this modern. All right.
When I taught history, it was the dinosaur age because that's where I'm from. I'm Unk.
That's true. We then arrive at the feast scene. Rhaenyra feeding the nobles a bunch of rats and taking all their money. Pretty cool. Pretty good idea. will not have any consequences, I think.
What I say is true. Anyone can cook, but only the fearless can be great.
That's true. I need to rewatch
Let's
that
go.
movie. Everybody says it's like the best.
Such a good film. It might be arguably best Pixar film. Maybe Incredibles is better. Both directed by Brad Bird, the goat, the rat.
I think I don't know.
This
Finding
scene...
Nemo is the first movie I saw in theaters, so I have a soft spot for that. But it also, I think, made me scared of sharks.
That was also the first movie I saw in
Are you serious?
Too. Yeah.
Wow. Wait, your parents kept you out of theaters longer than me.
You're a couple of years younger than me.
I was 3.
So I would have been 5. Damn, I only went to this. Yeah. You know what? I distinctly remember it. It's one of the few early memories I have. I remember my mum saying, let's go to the cinema. And in my head, cinema was spelled with an S. I remember that in my head, I imagined it being, and I literally was like, what's the cinema? And she was like, don't be silly. And I was like, bitch, you haven't even taken me to the cinema. I'm 5. How am I meant to know what a cinema is? That's what I said to her, word for word.
Wow.
And I watched it. I was like, oh, big TV. I like this. I also watched Spider-Man 2 in cinema. And that came out. Wait, when did that come out?
I've not seen any of the original trilogy of Spider-Mans.
You are an insane person. Oh, wait, Spider-Man 2 came out 2004, which means Finding Nemo wasn't the first thing in cinema.
Now, Finding Nemo was 2003.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, you said.
Someone's trying to say we've 100% had this conversation before. I don't know. I don't know when Pixar would have come up.
Finding Nemo. I swear to God, I saw Spider-Man 2 in cinemas. I would have been 5 years old. I would have been 4 or 5. My mum later told me she was watching that being like, I shouldn't have taken my tiny son to this because it's quite violent, but like I was having a blast. I remember.
Chat seems upset that I have not seen the Spider-Mans.
That is crazy. I did let that slide. You haven't seen the Sam Raimi Spider-Man?
I have not. I've seen were there 2 of Andrew Garfield? I've seen 1 of them.
There were 2. Which one did you see? The bad one or the shit one?
I saw 1 of them.
Did it have Jamie Foxx made out of electricity?
No.
Did it have Otto Hightower turning into a giant lizard?
If it did, I didn't know he was Otto Hightower.
Yes, that would be the first one.
Anyway, Rhaenyra Targaryen.
Wait,
we're talking about House of the Dragon.
The person saying we've had this conversation before is someone I know in real life saying I've had this conversation with them before.
No, but now other people in the chat are agreeing with them.
Oh, wait, we have talked about this on stream?
I don't know.
Okay,
we might be getting gaslit.
We're getting distracted. One of the most important scenes of the episode. All right, do you want to lead the way? Do you want to lead the way?
Yeah, sure. I did a video on this that came out yesterday, where I shared my thoughts. Obviously, this is very clearly hearkening to the rat cook story from Westerosi mythology, more directly from Northern mythology. It is kind of an inversion and twist on it. It's not Rhaenyra feeding these nobles their kids unknowingly or breaking guest right at all by slaying anyone under her roof, but she is literally feeding them rat, and it does very much invoke this idea and image of this legend, which is, tied into the person we'll talk about on the next slide. But yeah, it's an interesting idea, and I do think it's kind of a bad one, because taking these resources from these nobles, as Daemon and Torrhen Manderley point out, is not going to really solve that much of a problem for that long term. It's just going to piss off all of these merchants and nobles, and they're going to remember it for a lot longer. And this image of Rhaenyra as someone who's feeding nobility rats might, persevere and end up haunting her.
This is like a powerful short-term tactic to assert her control over the minor nobility, the merchants, and as a propaganda stunt to get the small folk on side. But you're right, long term, it's gonna bite her in the ass. Like, she took a gamble, and it's a bad gamble. What I like about this scene is that, again, this episode is not portraying wholesome Chungus Rhaenyra, right? This episode is like, it's calling out the fact that she is making mistakes, or that there is something sort of hypocritical about her actions. So like Torrhen Manderley being like, oh yeah, this was a great, gesture for the small folk. They might even forget that the whole reason they're starving in the first place is because you blockaded King's Landing. Or, Daemon being like, this is a really dumb move, and Rhaenyra being like, oh, they're just minor nobles and merchants. You know, she would never do this to the big bannerman. She's doing it to minor Crownlands nobles because she thinks she can get away with it. And you know, Daemon being like, this will only last a few weeks. Like this, you're stealing wealth, redistributing it. That's not a long-term solution. There's no system in place. You're just doing a bit of propaganda. And she's like, I know, we'll sort things out later. And I kind of liked the, you know, the details of that being brought up. And there is one thing I want to say, by the way, Quinn.
Go right ahead.
Did you catch the names of the lords?
I didn't. I didn't have subtitles on, and I meant to check on my second viewing, and I forgot.
So the bald man who stands up and gives
Connington.
Unfortunately, not. No, they're all Crownlands.
Damn it.
That's Lord Gaunt, the bald man who stands up.
Oh, neat.
Up. Because we know of one Gaunt called Sir Gawain Gaunt of the Kingsguard. And the other man who's standing next to it, the younger one, who's like, oh, you know, if I was starving, I wouldn't go around ransacking the city like a bunch of rats. You know what I mean? That guy. He's Lord Bywater, according to the subtitles.
Huh.
So, yeah, Jacqueline Bywater. So 2 minor Crownland houses.
That's a really
nice
neat layer of continuity.
I like that. However, what I don't like is, you know, the lady on the other end of the table, who I really liked her performance, by the way. The kind of the offended kind of...
Yes, that was very realistic.
What were you expecting us to do, Your Grace, if not hoard all our grain and let the poor people starve? She's called Lady Gaskell, according to the credits. Now, House Gaskell doesn't exist. So, unfortunately, we have another House Mason, House Wibberley, Maegor the Third.
Didn't one of us have House that doesn't exist on our bingo cards?
Oh, was he? I think it was you. Oh, you motherfucker.
I think it was you.
Is it me?
It's one of us. I genuinely don't... You're a guy in the chair.
Someone has it. Holy shit, yeah, it's a house that doesn't exist.
That wasn't the intended use of that square, but I think it counts.
And it's kind of disappointing because it's like, I like the references to minor houses, even though they're not stated on screen, but you know, it's kind of for the fans to be like, oh, that's a cute reference. Why would you make one up? Why can't she be Lady Hog,
also,
Lady Crab?
Someone in the chat, Longshanks, is saying, didn't Bywaters come from a later Targ? I think you're thinking of the head undergaoler of the, or jailer, I always get that mixed up, of the Red Keep, Longwaters.
I think it's me who revealed that to you, that Gaol is just a medieval way of saying jail.
It was all of my comments the first time I said it in a video.
Oh, yes. So it was everyone being as annoying as me.
Yes, correct.
And I'm actually in you. But yeah, no. But
yes,
this
scene does lead us into our introduction to a new character this episode. Mr. Torrin Manderly. I cannot spell the name Torrin for the life of me.
I can never remember if it's Tohrren or Torr.
I also tend to only have one R. It's just it's a mess. But I love his presence here. Manderly is a house that very much got shafted in adaptation. We did not see Wyman Manderly that much in the show. We did not get his excellent speech to Davos in support of the Starks and their cause. We did not get him serving Frey pies. And I think his presence here is very clearly a reference to that, in my opinion, given that we just had something that invokes the rat cook so clearly. And then we have Manderly popping right up and having a bit of a smug conversation with Rhaenyra, which I quite liked.
I mentioned before in streams all the time that season 1 of Hot D, great with the main characters, kind of poor with characterizing and showcasing side characters in the writing and direction. This season has been excellent so far. Ormond appeared in episode 1 for like 2 minutes, immediately stole the show. Who is this guy? What's his vibe? What's his fun little smell quirk? You know, he has this aura of kind of command and, you know, it immediately took my attention. Similar thing happened here. He has, I think, 2 to 3 lines of dialogue, and I already want to see more of him.
Same. Also, this actor rules and has been in a bunch of stuff, and I think he's American, right?
He is American.
Hell yeah.
It's a great campy performance. It's scenery chewing. It's rich. He's very likable and charming, and you know that he's going to be a bit of a menace. And I can't wait to see him. And we talk about him more in the predictions slide. But he does. I can't wait to see more of him.
There are allusions to him in the trailer for next week, I think. But yeah,
yes, I do. There is something I need to bring up, Quinn, and I need to talk about his accent.
Oh, I'm muting you.
No, do not mute. Listen. So the actor's American. He is doing a very good, like a rich, campy Southern English accent. It sounds really good. It doesn't sound like an American doing a shitty accent. It sounds like a good sort of thespian. But unfortunately, it's a Southern English accent. He's doing received pronunciation. He's doing Southern Standard British English. The Mandalese are from the north. They should have a Northern
But
English
are they
accent
from
of
the
some
north?
sort. Here's the thing: they're from the Manda and Dunstanbury and Whitegrove and so on, and but that was like 1,000 years ago, and accents don't work like that.
I don't know. They might.
Your accents don't come from your parents; they come from your peers. So like, and also Lord Wyman Manderley, his weird cameo in season 6 of Game of Thrones, he had a Northern English accent. The only Northern lords who have Southern English accents in Game of Thrones were the Boltons for some reason. So this guy having a Southern, I'm just saying that I might have to reduce this to like a 5 out of 10, maybe 4 out of 10 this episode.
I have seen a lot of people criticizing him like being here in King's Landing. Someone in chat, I want to see so I can credit. Big Kermit, I assume Tully, brought up the fact that he is a second son, which I think does kind of justify him being at court at this point.
Are you okay if I read out Big Kermit's comment specifically?
Oh yes, go ahead.
Just everyone wondering why he's here, not at his home. He's a second son.
Thank you very much. I assume not the Sellsword Company.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, someone in the chat did say he's in a later season of The Walking Dead, which I did not see. I was more of a comics man myself.
Oh, cultured. You've made up for the lack of Sam Raimi Spider-Man culture. But yeah, no, because he's that Jace negotiates with the Mandalese. We lost all the Jace negotiations.
I wish we saw that.
Which was I hate it so much. Other than the next time, still that has like Jane Aaron in the high hall on that weird chair.
That could have been. So cool.
That should have been season 2. But anyway, yes. So the Mandalese side with Rhaenyra, and then Torrhen is sent as an advisor. But here he's already in the capital. So was he like a hostage of the Greens, seeing as the North went for Rhaenyra, or was he like pro-Green? And I hope we get some kind of explanation for that. But yes.
We might. That is part of the thing, like seeing the show week to week. Like there could be a great explanation for half of these things next week.
Yeah, or it's just never addressed, which often happens in Hot D. Like Kristen Cole getting away with beating Joffrey Lonmouth today.
Well, that happens all the time. Could you move the text over? It's cut off again on the next slide.
Why is it cut? Why
I think my monitor is like slightly shifted to the left. It's bizarre.
Is your OBS slightly like zoomed in?
I think it is, because I didn't want like the top part of the screen with certain elements. This scene I really liked. Daemon kind of calling out the absurdity of the rat dinner thing, because it's interesting. Like if you want to actually help the poor in King's Landing, you need to address like the systems that are going on, and not just like steal from some nobles once and then hand it out. It is good PR, but ultimately it's not going to do any lasting change to the systems. And Daemon is someone who's just kind of disinterested in the systems. And I think this is a very interesting direction for the character. It feels very in character for Daemon, him being very focused on not only himself, but Valyrians in general. And him kind of internalizing the prophecy that he now knows and these visions he's seen as a sign to conquer the world and do another Valyrian empire, I think is very funny and does very much fit with him.
Someone said in a super chat earlier this stream that this was sort of out of character for Daemon, and I do have to disagree. Like since season 1, since he was in Pentos living the kind of, a comfortable but boring life with his wife Laena and his children Baela and Rhaena, he was poring over texts, reading about the glory of old Valyria. He kind of shared that interest with his brother Viserys, and like it makes sense that on the cusp of them thinking they've won the war, this false peace, that he's like fully embracing. We've won this. You're on the throne. We've got dragons. You're on reference. We've got dragons. I saw the prophecy that says we're kind of these like really important. We have an important bloodline. Why shouldn't we conquer the world? Conquering Dawn was interesting of him to bring up. Yeetie is going crazy.
Yeah, was this our first Yeetie mention in an adaptation? Was this a backdoor pilot for the Golden Empire show?
This whole series is a backdoor pilot for the animated Sea Snake show, of course.
That's a great point.
No, I think this is our first Yeetie reference.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Golden Empire. I've seen people bring up on Twitter, and it's a great point. Like, why is that image of Daenerys at all special to Daemon? Like,
what does he think?
A woman having dragons is not abnormal to Daemon.
a naked woman in a desert with dragons is like, what does that mean? Like,
Damon has
does he think
probably
it's a
personally
metaphor?
seen that.
Is Damon like, yo, how young is she? Can I get
Oh,
her number?
apparently Aegon mentioned ET in season 1.
Huh?
Oh no,
When?
Kristen mentions it in season 1. Thank you, Longshanks. I was gonna say
Aegon could be
Aegon would
half
not
to
have mentioned
Yeetie
that.
by now. I do not remember Kristen saying that.
I don't either, but I will. I could see it being said at some point in this show.
Um, but yeah,
But yeah, no, the dragon vision Daenerys thing doesn't super.
yeah. No,
make sense to me.
it's almost like the vision that the audience was shown was
Yes.
not what Damon was shown, because Damon's acting like he got
Blood
something
Raven
else.
would have needed to give him a lot of context for that to be as impactful as it should have been.
Imagine you're Damon and all you see is like a man in a tree and a raven flies out his face, and then there's like an icy demon with a prosthetic mask, and then a naked girl in a desert with dragons. He's like, he ends the vision. He's like, I that doesn't help me. I don't know what this means, Alice Rivers. Why did you make me touch a
It's
tree?
Helena.
God damn it. Yeah, that. Oh, I hate. Not only was it nonsensical, but it also like it was so unnecessary for his arc. We've already mentioned this, but like his season 2 arc as it was, there was like a beginning, middle, end, and then the vision was like an unnecessary like baggage on the end. Like he came to his conclusion because of the visions he was having throughout the season. The big one at the end, I don't know. What was he experiencing? Why has he interpreted those visions as we're special godlike beings, we have a magic bloodline? Like what did anyway.
Good question.
What's next?
Also, someone in the chat said, didn't Corlys mention the wine he served was from ET? No, that was from Ib. Different
From Ib.
2-letter place name.
The vodka?
Yeah. We then get a scene of Rhaenyra handing out food to the small folk. I quite liked this, as kind of her repairing her image a little bit and actually interacting with the small folk. Her nickname in the book is, of course, the Realm's Delight, and you could kind of see that for the first time here, because it is the first time that Rhaenyra herself is interacting with the common people in this show, other than pretending to be one of them, either as a septa or as a commoner in season 1. And yeah, I think it was pretty neat to see. I think it'll be a good baseline to kind of take things in terms of the opinion of the people in her city. And I also think it didn't really overstay its welcome. It was pretty brief and contrasted what we'd seen of like the mobs against the Greens at the end of last season.
I was watching with a friend, and they were like, realistically, Rhaenyra would hand out like 2 boxes and be like, "Okay, the photo op is done.
Yeah.
Guards, do the rest. I'm not signing all these, handing these out. I've got shit to do."
Oh, but yeah, that
hand out the rest
said,
by Zarya.
with like Westeros, not necessarily photo op. There aren't cameras, so maybe she needs to like be seen doing this for a longer period.
Yeah, by enough people so word can spread. Yeah, she seems so. My only issue is that she seems so exposed. Like, I feel like any assassin, if they wanted to kill her, she'd be dead.
See, that's the thing. I think you're absolutely right, but I also think it fits with where Rhaenyra is at this exact moment. This episode is her kind of thinking she has won everything, and then that idea doesn't really unravel until the end with fake Daeron and with the news that Ormond has taken Tumbleton. And I think that at this point, Rhaenyra is so confident and feels like this realm is hers. She can do this, and I think it fits overall, especially her not having a Kingsguard right now. And we do see, like, gold cloaks are still around, like one directly behind her there.
It fits more if the small folk don't believe that she ordered a child to be murdered.
What are you talking about?
Oh, sorry, that didn't exist.
No,
Blood and cheese never happened.
Yeah, that was a false memory.
There is no blood and cheese in Ba Sing Se.
Correct. Nor in King's Landing. Do we have anything else in this one, or should we move on to the next?
I think we can move on. Let's move on to welcome back Vaemond Velaryon.
Yeah. Speaking of people briefly being possessed by the spirit of somebody else, we talked about that in last week's review. Loved this scene from Corlys. Corlys is on a generational hot streak this season.
Aura regained.
Yeah, instantly, and it's only increased since then. I didn't catch Beesbury in the background of that image. She's probably cut off by the chat box, but regardless, I do miss Beesbury. This makes sense for Corlys to lash out like this, because it is such an easy thing for Rhaenyra to do. Like, she just needs to say the word, and these two guys' lives change forever, as does Corlys's. But, nope.
Yeah, so I've said before, I fully understand both sides of this argument, which is why I think it's a powerful scene.
Yes,
like,
I agree.
Rhaenyra's like, I literally cannot politically afford to do that. It's an open rumor / open secret that my children, well, my last surviving son Joffrey are bastards, that Lucerys and Jacaerys were bastards. I can't take power in this perilous situation, walking this tightrope, and immediately say, "Hey, my closest ally, I'm going to legitimize his bastards. I'm going to be the monarch who goes around legitimizing bastards." And damaging her own claim and that.
Especially with the dragon seeds getting knighted. That's already status jump.
Yeah. It's already she's playing around with, and then on top of the stunt she pulls with the minor nobles and the merchants, like she could piss off a lot of the nobility, right? However, Corlys's backlash is completely justified, where he's like, "Hold on, I've sacrificed everything. Rhaenys died for you. High Tide has been burned down for you. I've lost my wealth for you. I've lost half my fleet for you." And something that desperately needs to be mentioned along with Blood and Cheese is, I also low-key think you may have murdered my son Laenor,
Exactly.
even though that's not being brought. Can someone please bring that up? I need it to be brought up that Corlys doesn't believe that, because I refuse to believe this character would support Rhaenyra if he actually thinks she murdered his son. I think the writers don't want to come back to that because it's too messy.
Agreed.
But I understand both perspectives. Neither side is being dumb, which I like. What I dislike is I think his outburst was too harsh, too loud, and I think he should have lost his fucking tongue, if I'm being honest. Like, I think either his dialogue needed to be less aggressive, or he has the same vitriol, the same vitriolic words, but with an angered, hushed voice, or he shouts at her like he does in this scene, but it's in private chambers.
I was going to say, if this was in private, I think it would be a lot more reasonable.
It works better. The fact it's in front of a bunch of like servants and maids, I think that's like
it does speak to Corlys not really being. That is the thing, though. Like, Corlys has lost so much at this point. Maybe he just feels like he doesn't have anything else to lose, and he can just kind of let this fly. Because I think, like, in terms of characters in this show who have lost stuff, I think that Corlys is in the running for first place. Rhaenyra is also in the running, but yeah.
I think it comes down to I needed this scene to be in private. I think, and the fact that we see Rhaenyra's response being shocked, and then we cut to another scene. It's like, wait, what was her response?
That was my one criticism with this episode. It did sometimes feel like the scenes didn't have enough time to breathe, which I'm sure was intentional in terms of, you know, creating this tense atmosphere. But
it worked.
We could have lingered on a couple things a little longer.
Yeah, I need, like, what was her response to him screaming treasonous words in her face? Like, I don't know. Someone in the chat's reminded me, Mink has reminded me, giving some nostalgia. They said, I kept remembering Fancy Haven's videos where he used the Windows closing down music when Vaemond yelled bastard. I remember
that's pretty
her children are.
I miss Vaemond. He was a fun presence.
He was a great little side character.
Yeah. That's one of the few side characters in season 1 I think was really well done.
That stood out, yeah.
Let's see. I think we're nearing the end here. Yeah, we've got 2 more. Young Grift. We have the fake Daeron reveal, the Faerun. Spoilers. This is not the real Daeron.
Spoilers, everyone. Spoilers.
How about bleach existing in Westeros?
His hair was not bleached, it was blenched.
Oh, of course.
Is what.
I did see this image on Twitter.
But yeah. Yeah, the fake Daeron plot. We've talked about it before that in the first slide that like we both like the fake Daeron plot. It didn't overstay its welcome.
Agreed.
It was a temporary.
If it had gone on for longer than I would say, I think 2 episodes is the longest it could go on, and I would be okay with it.
It was a short-term plan to buy the Hightower host enough time to seize Tumbleton and basically use the city as a pro-Rhaenyra meat shield so that they can plan their future moves without just being incinerated. I thought it's very cunning, and not just cunning, really fucking ruthless. Because it's like, I will hang your mother if you don't go along with this.
Mm-hmm. And then this kid is going to die, essentially, like in Corlys. He's Corman's view.
Yeah, in his view, he's like, you are either being held hostage under house arrest forever, or you are being beheaded.
Or you're getting sent to the wall, apparently.
Yeah, what could go wrong? You know, I'm sure no army will take him from the Night's Watch and raise him up if he's sworn oaths. You know.
And also, like...
Definitely safe to send a claimant off to the Night's Watch. Nothing can go wrong.
Damn it, I had something to say, and I completely... Oh, yeah. I saw people getting upset that, like, you know, bleaching hair, or whatever he said, is a thing in Westeros.
Blench.
But it makes sense, given how, like, colorful parts of the world have their hair. Like, you would need to bleach it to dye it to that point.
we have Tyroshi hair dyes,
Yeah.
right? The Tyroshi dye their hair blue and red and gold. Like, what's to say you can't get an extremely pale shade of gold?
And hey, we have a fake Targaryen in the main series with dyed hair, so these things happen.
Yeah, that's true. That's certainly true. There's one little detail I want to bring up actually.
Don't get me demonetized.
Wait, what?
I'm kidding. What is this?
The detail is that I'm trying to remember now. I had the same thing you just had. It's just slipped my mind. Oh yeah, that's it. The fact that he says that his family are merchants. This is for me. I really like that. You know why? Because if he had a noble family, Ormond wouldn't do that. He would not like sacrifice a noble son. That's insane. If he sent like a generic commoner as a member of the small folk, they might not have the etiquette.
Exactly.
They might not know how to act. But getting a merchant son means that they're in that kind of, middle merchant class, for lack of a better term, and maybe knows a bit more about etiquette, how to interact with nobles, how to carry themselves.
My lord, not my lord.
Yeah. So I again, it's not. There's not much emphasis put on it. It's just a throwaway line. Oh, I'm from a merchant family. But I was like, I like that. I like the extra.
Agreed.
This episode is just an episode of details that I really appreciate. And like it's like the anti Game of Thrones season 8.
Yeah, it's not a massive battle.
Sense. Why? What did you think I was going to demonet? What did you think I was going to say?
I just saw someone who was mostly naked on screen, and I was concerned.
Oh,
for
the
about a
picture.
moment.
The picture. Yeah, no.
It was nothing you said.
I was going to say like. But yeah, no, the fake. Okay, I'll move these. Let's get fake Daron back on screen. Yeah, you think there are potentially parallels with Dance with Dragons?
Oh, 100%. That's this. I think a lot of this episode is references to the main series in a lot of ways. Mostly with this just kind of being a viewpoint chapter, but the idea of not only young Griff and this idea of a Targaryen being swapped out for someone who is illegitimate being something that is very relevant to the core series, but also we have a lot of, people swaps in the main series. Not as many as some people think. I don't think that Rhaegar is Mance, but we have, Jon's baby swap at the beginning of A Dance with Dragons. Everyone seems to think that Myrcella and her handmaiden were switched during the Queenmaker plot. I don't know a ton about that theory, and I've never quite understood it. Maybe I'm dumb. But it's
and we know that
a verified thing in the books.
Yeah. Yeah, we know that Sorella Sand disguised herself as Shay.
Yes.
And Alaras is just a guy called Alaras.
Correct.
Fact.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
But yeah.
Do we want to move on?
Yeah, next one, slide? We have the Dragon Keeper arriving, giving us news of Tumbleton, and then we have the burning of all of the green banners. I've said it earlier in the stream, the Dragon Keeper's voice is maybe the coolest thing I've ever heard. One of my only criticisms of this episode was I did think this was a slightly weaker ending.
See, you'll have to tell me why, because I thought this was a great ending. I have a different issue with but I thought the actual, the Tumbleton revelation, the burning green merchandise, Rhaenyra staring into the flames, I thought that was a great climax, actually. What issue did you have?
I didn't find it all that climactic. It felt like she was getting a piece of news, looked at a fire, and then it ended.
But I think this whole episode is the false peace, and then it ends with the realization of the wars hasn't ended, it's still ongoing, the High Towers are making maneuvers, oh shit. And the revelation of I still have to fight, it's not over yet. That was the climax.
I think I'm too caught up in the fact that this episode was a viewpoint chapter, and I feel like one of Martin's signatures is he loves to end on dramatic stings, and this didn't super feel like that. But I guess thinking about it in that context, which I really hadn't before, I do kind of see it from that angle a bit more now.
This is a really funny picture of Rhaenyra, by the way.
You see, her expression is a bit odd, isn't it?
The Emma Darcy.
It looks like she is holding something in her mouth,
In 99% of pictures, Emma Darcy has an incredible face card. This might be the only picture I've seen where it's just not a good photo. This is not a good Rhaenyra photo. Kind of looks like a dinosaur. You know what I mean?
The posture, I can see it.
But the issue I have with this scene is more the logistics of, okay, the Hightower host took Tumbleton, and then a Dragon Keeper fled and made it to King's Landing and informed Rhaenyra. How does the timing work? Why was there not a Raven? Why is the person who revealed this a fucking Dragon Keeper? I'm just confused by the ending.
Yeah, my bigger thing with the Dragon Keepers generally was we saw them like carrying Jace's body last episode. I thought they all left and were like on strike, but they're back. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that feels like a plot point that they abandoned. I think.
Yeah, it felt like something they were going to do with the full season 2, but they just cut probably for time.
I think what would have worked better was more like a raven has arrived and the raven's like wounded. Someone tried to shoot at it with an arrow, but it made it, and it's like, oh, and there's a bloody letter, and the letter's like, Tumbleton is being taken by the Hightowers, and like, but like, how long ago was it taken? Because like, the Dragon Keeper would have had to have traveled all that way by himself. Who is the Dragon Keeper? Like, was he sent by Daemon to look after Tessarion? And then when they took the city, it was like, oh no, I have to flee. Like, I'm confused why it was a Dragon Keeper.
Yeah.
Like,
I
I
think
needed
that
some
would've
kind of
been-
explanation.
That would have been a good way to do it. Like if Daemon brought this Dragon Keeper and effectively like bid him when he was leaving, take Tessarion back to King's Landing or mind Tessarion
Yeah.
until we return for him or her.
Put him in a dragon
Sorry.
wagon, yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I think that is something that could have been explained a bit better. Maybe it will be with next episode because this is the very end of the episode, so maybe we'll hear more, but
Someone draw the dragon wagon and tag us on Twitter.
please. But yeah, this was Rhaenyra Triumphant. I also called that episode title a week beforehand.
Yeah. I mean, how can
Um,
you not? Like, is this is the third episode title named after a Fire and Blood chapter?
I think it's
Heirs of the
more than that,
Dragon.
isn't it?
Red Dragon and the Gold.
Princess and the Queen.
Princess and the Queen, you're right.
The Rogue Prince, I think, is a chapter title, or is that just the short story name?
I think that's a short story name. I don't think there's a whole chapter called Rogue Prince.
Maybe Princess and the Queen is also a short story name, because I know that is a short story name. It might also be a chapter. I don't know. My copy of Fire and Blood is in the other room.
Literally same. Mine's in the living room right now. God damn it. But
You should
yeah,
have them on us
great
for streaming.
episode. Great, fast-paced POV episode. Like,
Oh, Heirs of the Dragon
Man.
is also one. Someone in the chat is pointing out, I think.
I said that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I said Heirs of the Dragon, Red Dragon and the Gold, and Rhaenyra Triumphant.
Gotcha. But yeah, very good episode. I enjoyed it. I liked it. It were good.
Very good episode. Very good break after two basically like climactic battle episodes. Yeah.
And we have two new characters, as is our new tradition for these slides, being Torrin Manderly and
Wonderful.
the one and only Fake Daeron.
Yeah, wait, hold on. Is that on my list? We can talk about Fake Daeron during spoiler section because
Yes,
Fake Daeron
yes.
is not in Fire and Blood, but potentially could stay in the story in some capacity.
Correct.
Or maybe not.
I think it
or-
would be
or
very
could
cool
be.
if he did. I think that this would be a good direction for things.
And we can also say hello to Lord Gaunt, Lord Bywater, and Lady Gaskell, but I suspect they're not.
I suspect we might
reappearing.
not see them again.
No.
And
And
then-
in terms of returning characters, the Dragon Keeper from season 1 and the High Septon from season 1, like that's nice to bring
Yes.
them back. That's cool.
But we've moved on to In Memoriam, which we need
Yeah,
to
rest-
duly honor, I think.
Rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really thought those rats, they provided great ambience,
Mm-hmm.
great physical performances more than anything. And unlike Lauren Marbrand, we did actually see their corpses on screen, so the actors got that at
Poor
least. I do
Lauren
hope they were
Marbrand.
paid. Yeah, rest in peace to Lauren, right? But yeah, no, I know the acting union isn't exactly.
Yeah,
doesn't
there
really
are a lot of
accept
restrictions about
rats.
filming with rats.
Yeah, so
Martin was
not
kind of
entirely
upset
sure-
with some of the changes they made to the rat scenes.
I mean, that was going to be the second blog, wasn't it? After
Yes.
Mail All the Missing, but HBO stopped him because they were like, don't expose the fact that we underpay the rats.
Mm-hmm,
But yeah, no, but either way, they had a good send off. They've all been cooked up. It was a
Laid to
noble
rest in
sacrifice.
fire as a true Targaryen should be.
uh,
And then, yeah, prediction stuff. Let's do super chats before we get into predictions and bingo.
yes.
Just in case
Super
people
chats,
are leaving
and
for
then
spoilers.
we officially enter spoiler
Spoiler
corner
zone
predictions.
after
Bingo.
this.
So,
Thank you to Marveliog. If Daeron is Kristen's bastard, does that not give us a bit of the Neville's plotline with her being cut? That would be interesting, seeing as Daeron would be someone without Targaryen blood who is claiming a dragon. So that would be one upside to it, but I still don't think it's particularly likely. Thank you to Quick Save. There's no wedge big enough to stop Allison and Rhaenyra. I think saying that they're, best of pals. Thank you to the Great Splodge. Jaehaerys' head being sewn on his body was one of the most emotive shots in the entire show, and they wasted it. I agree, it's very, iconic to the show. It is in the intro, but it not being mentioned is just kind of strange. Thank you to Quick Save again. Imagine if Alicent felt guilty about her pushing Aegon for Rook's Rest and raising him into a puppet and helps him escape in spite of her deal. That would be interesting, but if memory serves, she actually told him to not go to Rook's Rest. She told him, do nothing, stay where you are, that is what you are needed for right now, and then he went anyway, because he felt useless.
Yeah.
Thank you to Chu Jungian for correcting us on a historical thing. Charles VI of France was a mad king who thought his bones were made of glass and would shatter if he was struck. He was probably correct.
In my head, it was his head specifically. He was scared his head would fall off.
Interesting. I wonder why that was in your head that way. Thank you to Cyclops of Krakoa. I think the writers didn't like having to do Blood and Cheese and are sweeping it under the rug. That could be it. It could also be like the beef with Martin, not wanting to rehash that. Thank you to Quick Save again. Imagine if she was behind the Daeron plot. I assume I'm talking about Alicent. The letter in order to save her kids. Oh, so imagine if Alicent was responsible for fake Daeron. That would be very interesting. Though I don't know how much she would want to send this random child to his death, albeit she seems fine with sending her sons to their deaths. Thank you to Moonshield 10. Showrunners are so hung up on the idea of Helena being a dragon dreamer, they forgot she's actually a human being that will react to their son being murdered. That is a good point. I think that Rhaenyra has a little been flanderized by just being the dragon dream machine. Thank you to Rhaenyriels. I think Helena doesn't want to stay in the room because it's Rhaenyra's old room, the one with the secret tunnels. Ooh, that's an interesting thought. I think that was that room.
Was it?
They're in the behind-the-scenes thing. They did like a behind-the-scenes tour of the Red Keep, and they did show secret tunnels in that room. So I think it was Rhaenyra's old room.
I'm not even going to react to the phrase you just said.
So that's very disciplined of you. Then you do Cusco Full. I like that the High Septon is not falling for Targaryen propaganda and challenged the Queen and the throne like a badass faith leader. I do think it was very cool that he stood his ground, and I think it'll be interesting to see if that is a continued element of resistance to Rhaenyra's rule.
It was almost a bit shocking, but then I was like, no, the faith wields a lot of power. Like the High Septon wields a lot of power. Yeah. Like, you can like talk back to the Queen. I do want to just quickly throw in. Do you think that he was like, I can't anoint you or coronate you because I need Aegon's remains, or do you think he was like, I'm using that as an excuse, I don't want to anoint a queen regnant?
Definitely an excuse.
Yeah.
Because also Targaryens typically burn their dead, so the Silent Sisters might not have been called anyway.
Yeah, they could have just been like, here are his ashes, just burn a cat and be like, boom.
Cusco has one more that I will save for the spoiler zone because it is a spoiler. Thank you to Yan Verb. An interview with Harry Collett said that Jace's last thought was mother, so we watch Rhaenyra warged by Jace. That's very funny. With the Rob Greywind thing and Jon Ghost.
What was that like season 1 meme that all shift X and Glidus were like someone
with the pigeon?
Corlys?
Corlys warging Harwin because they made the same joke?
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That's a deep cut.
Yeah. That just popped into my head right now.
Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you to the Great Splodge. Not the grief of losing her 2 sons, but the kingdom administration is going to drive Rhaenyra into darkness. Yeah, doing your job can very much do that to you, as I'm sure many can attest. Thank you to Pioneer 10F. Imagine how jealous Ulf would be if she just named Adam a Valerian at the knighting. I could just say Ulf is a Targaryen. What's the worst that could happen? That would have been really funny. Like, he gets to be a Valerian, but I can't be a Targaryen. Thank you to Quick Save. Can't believe you guys are talking about this again. I think this was the Finding Nemo thing.
I don't recall us.
Catelyn Dwyer also saying it's so sad when you're gay dead, start retelling the same stories. Moa Dweeb has a very good observation with Lord Bywater also has a fish necklace, his sigil. Very cool.
Ooh.
Moonshield 10. Ghost of Jace is the new rat catcher of the Red Keep. He just appears and mogs and the rats die. Thank you to Mayo Nation. Think House Gosgul is a 40K reference. I've never played or learned anything about 40K, so I'm not the
I
person
would,
to ask.
I would be shocked if Gaskell is a 40K reference.
Yeah,
Are
don't
you
know if
thinking
Condal's that
Gazgul,
type of
like
nerd.
some orc shit? It's Gaskell spelled Gaskell. It could be a reference to fucking Elizabeth Gaskell. Um, but it's definitely not like the author, but it's definitely not an existing A Song of Ice and Fire house.
It could be cool as an author reference. Martin does love those in his work, and I could see Condal trying to honor that. What did she write?
Well, is Sarah Hess wrote this episode? Remember? Let me just double check. Let me double check. English novelist. She wrote Mary Barton. Her biography, Life of Charlotte Bronte. Cranford, North and South, Wives and Daughters. Oh yeah, North and South is probably might be the one that. Yeah, all adapted by the BBC.
But
Victorian era author, maybe a favorite of Sarah Hess, perhaps.
Next up, thank you to Julfer Wanker, back from the pub. Love Darcy Smith, Desant Cook. All of them are excellent actors. Thank you to Kirsty Angel. Can we talk about Viserys renouncing his dragon? What do you?
Yes, so this is when Daemon tells Rhaenyra Viserys renounced his dragon, which of course he didn't renounce.
He died.
Balerion. He died. He got to ride him once as a child, but then he died. But
maybe Daemon is saying like, oh, maybe Balerion would have lived if Viserys, took more interest and wanted to conquer the world.
Or maybe Viserys rode Balerion once and was like, I'm going to pull off doing it again because I was fucking terrifying, and then he died before he could ever go back to it, and so he kind of treats it as like, you rejected your Targ blood, your Targ history, your Targ destiny, and,
Thank you to Jolfer Wanker again. Why wouldn't Rhaenyra dye her son's hair? I imagine you can't do that to a baby, and that would be very expensive to continually upkeep. The reason this works with Daeron is because it only needs to work for, like, literally as long as it takes to take Tumbleton.
However long that takes, I'm not sure.
We'll see next episode, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
you to Red Hood. Where actually are Viserys and Aegon the Younger, and do you think they'll show any of the future of their stories? I'm going to amend that slightly. I think we'll learn next episode, since we know there will be an audience with Jane Eyre.
Who? Aegon and Viserys, who are they?
Rhaenyra's other kids who exist.
Oh, the toddlers.
Yes, who shouldn't be toddlers.
Who shouldn't be toddlers. Even in the truncated timeline of the show, they could easily be 6 and 5 years old, like not
or 6 and 7.
They don't need or 6 and 7. They don't need to be toddlers.
Yeah. Thank you to Rhaenyrials. Maybe some of the green stuff being burned has some of baby Jaehaerys' blood on it, and Rhaenyra is seeing something in the flame. Oh, it's some kind of vision. Could be interesting. Rhaenyra is Melisandre, perhaps.
Damn. So Corlys is Harwin, Rhaenyra is Melisandre. And Daeron is Daeron.
Correct. Thank you to Lord Baratheon. Spoilers from Fire and Blood. I will actually save that one. I'm going to do... Oh, okay. All of the rest of these are spoilers, so that's good. I'm actually going to go back and do Kuzcofuls before I forget. Thank you to Kuzcoful. Do you think we'll... Oh, spoilers for these next few Super Chats and predictions and bingo. Spoilers. If you're signing off, like the stream, subscribe to our channels. Thank you. Kuzcoful.
Spoiler corner.
Spoiler. Do you think it'd be nice... niece of Corlys... do you think that we'll see a niece of Corlys... to Jaehaerys be mother of Aegon III's children? I don't know. I think they could keep Jaehaerys alive. I think that'd be a good choice, personally.
Could you say that again? My brain cannot wrap.
My brain also cannot. I'm going to read this word for word. Spoiler, do you think that we will see a niece of Corlys, O Jaehaerys, will be the mother of Aegon III's children?
Oh, yeah. I think niece of Corlys, they're Daenara Velaryon. They're basically saying is Aegon III going to marry Jaehaerys, which was in the original timeline before George retconned it to Daenara Velaryon. Personally, I would forever worship Ryan Condal if he scrapped Daenara Velaryon, the most beautiful 6-year-old in the world, and had Aegon marry Jaehaerys, which renders the whole dance pointless because both bloodlines end up coming together, which is a perfect ironic ending. And George is a fucking moron for changing it and having it be a random Velaryon girl because, and I quote, according to Elio of Elio and Linda fame, the aging didn't make sense, and if he had kids with Jaehaera, she would have had to have been in her early 20s, as though that's not a normal age
Wait,
to have.
what? Are you kidding?
That's the reason that was given, that Jaehaera would have been too old to have kids because she would have been in her early 20s, so
Holy
we needed
shit.
a wife who was way younger. That's one of the reasons. The second reason given was that it accidentally turns the Blackfire Rebellion into a continuation of Green versus Black.
Huh.
But also...
But also, wouldn't both
of
sides
those
be
reasons
both?
are fucking... No,
wait,
because
no,
Viserys'
because
line.
Wait.
Yeah.
No,
But-
it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't.
No, it wouldn't. But
No matter
both-
what,
both-
all of Aegon's kids die. The Green Line dies no matter what.
Yeah.
The line doesn't
But-
continue through Aegon.
But it doesn't. So there's no genuine reason to replace Jaehaera
Yeah.
with Daenerys. Jaehaera marrying Aegon is such a perfect ending. You can end the show with them being betrothed
Yes,
and just be
agree.
like, well, we don't know what happens because there's probably not going to be a Regency show, but we can hope it's Jaehaera because oh my fucking god, would I be pissed? Oh, George can be a genius and he can be an idiot.
2 more super chats. Thank you to Lord Baratheon. Spoilers from Fire and Blood. In the book, why doesn't Aemon help the Greens in the war after Harrenhal? I always thought that made no sense. I also think it kind of makes no sense. And I think in the show, it's going to be framed as him buying in on whatever Alice is selling and getting focused on that. You need to set the Riverlands on fire for some reason.
Yeah, there are parts of Fire and Blood where I'm not. What's the word?
Yeah, the
I don't
end of the
envy
dance is
writers.
one area of Fire and Blood I am not huge on.
We need a justification for why Aemond doesn't help Kristen's army, doesn't help the Hightower host, that he just goes, I'm gonna burn some villages and Castle Darry and House of Wibberley. Like, thanks for being useless. Like the reason they're doing in the show for Aemond right now is, just to go on a tangent, is he's injured, right? And he's probably gonna be nursed back to health by Alice Rivers. That's a cool plot. Reason for him not be involved in the war right now. I like that. But when he recovers, how do you have him not just destroying shit? Like, how do you have him do anything beyond? Like, I don't envy the
Aegar
writers.
is sick.
She has the
flu.
She's still got.
You keep
Thornish
calling every
fever
dragon a
from back in the
boy.
day. I do apologize. I'm a renowned misogynist.
Sure, yes. And last super chat so far from Pioneer 10F. Spoilers, House of the Dragon ends with Bran becoming king beyond the wall, and Mr. Bean is Warden of the North. ##. Based. But yeah, shall we do bingo before we do predictions?
Let's do bingo first. So starting off with your bingo.
Let's go. Okay.
Oh, you have the house that doesn't exist. Fuck you.
Oh, do I really?
You do. Yeah, that's on yours.
Hell yeah.
We have officially been introduced to House Gaskell. It doesn't exist. Feel free to take. Oh yeah, I'm the guy in the chair.
You are the guy in the chair. I would also tick off A Feast for Crows, A Dance with Dragons reference, and Rhaenyra Court Beef Triangle.
Okay, Rhaenyra Court Beef Triangle is an obvious one. Mysaria, Daemon, Rhaenyra, tension. Feast for Crows, Dance with Dragons reference. I don't know if any of the
Manderley is so clear. That is so blatant.
He just happens to be there, bro.
For the rat cook thing.
I don't even think it's intentional, but an unintentional parallel I will count as a reference.
I would also count this entire episode being a Cersei chapter as a Feast reference.
That's an absurd take, and you know it. That's an absurd opinion to have.
What else do we have? I think Cat. I was a little worried about the Cat being why Hugh flips thing when we saw her in King's Landing last episode, but now that she's in Tumbleton, I'm feeling better about it.
I love how one of your squares is Laenor or his fate. We don't even. Corlys hasn't even.
Corlys does not remember Laenor.
Gurm doesn't address the season. That can only be sorted out at the end.
Yeah.
Honestly, Gurm almost definitely won't address it.
Yeah.
So if you get Luke in an Aemon vision, you've probably secured a bingo.
I'm seeing a lot of. That's the thing. I'm not positive on Luke because my thing with Luke is I'm not sure if the actor's aged too much to count him.
That's a good point.
Yeah. That's my worry with that.
Have we had an oops yet? We've kind of discussed.
We've kind of had a. I don't know. It's tricky. I hesitate to count it yet.
Sheepsteal is kind of an oops, but it's not.
It's not tenuous. I want to wait until a more solid one. But if we get to the end and there isn't a more solid one, we can have a discussion.
Yeah.
The closer goal, no matter how they turn, that was a missed opportunity last episode.
Huge missed opportunity.
What else?
Oh,
People don't
the
like the conceptual episode.
Okay, so my argument would be that people seem to shit on it when the leaks were coming out. Post it coming out, both the critics and the fans seem to like it. Some love it like us. Some are just like, yeah, it's good. I've not seen that much hate. I have seen some hate, but like from what I've gathered from the fandom, this is an episode that was received well, unless you've seen anything else.
I don't know. I have seen some dislike of it, but it's unclear if that is genuine dislike of the episode or just people who are going to dislike all of House of the Dragon on principle at this point.
Yeah, the people who are like, oh my god, Rhaenyra was on her period and then she snaps at all the characters and it's terrible writing and it literally never happs. Literally doesn't happen in the episode. It just lies.
Yeah. I am more inclined to say that people liked this episode, as bad as that is for my board.
Yeah, give me a bone.
I'll give you that
I'm not
bone.
winning this. Speaking of, shall we move on then to
We shall move on to your bingo card, the illustrious...
I have three ticks.
Well, now you have four, I think.
People did like the conception.
And we know that you'll get at least probably two next episode with Cole Visions and Cheese Dog.
I'm not certain about Cold Visions. I think we're guaranteed to get Aemond Visions. Cold Visions, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Cheese Dog was in a still for next episode.
We don't count that till next episode. It could be an imposter.
That's true. Oh, I know. I'm just letting the chat know. There's a still of Ulf going back to his two buddies, Clay and Muja, I think. And there's a guy in the background just holding the cheese dog from season 2, which is fucking incredible. It's
awesome. That scene should be shot from Cheese Dog's perspective.
As our mutual friend Kenny said, we got cheese dog before Unwin Peak. And then Dragon DUI, you could argue every single scene of Ulf on Silver Wing is technically.
I would say he seemed pretty sober this season so far.
That's true. We haven't seen him drink. Bartimos has returned, but not as Master of Coin, and that was kind of the point.
And now I think that was kind of dismissed.
Yeah, I won't put a skull there yet, but I think if someone else is appointed Master of Coin,
we have had no movement on your quota, unlike mine last episode.
Yeah, we've got 3 dicks, and apparently we're getting even more than 3. Apparently, there's going to be high-powered dogs.
That is we meant to mention it. I was going to say the one thing that we know about Ormond from reviews is that he will apparently hang dong. So.
I can't believe you're going to get 4 dicks and I'm only going to get 1 titty. That's crazy.
I think there were more than 3 in that gold cloak scene. I did not count, but...
I counted.
You counted exactly 3? Are you kidding?
Exactly 3, yeah. I
That's
literally
awesome.
Rewatched the scene with the brightness up and it's 3 exactly. 3 separate characters.
I am a genius.
Daron the Daring, I'm annoyed at this one because you were roasting me for being like, that's a terrible choice. You haven't prepped this live stream properly. And then everyone got mad at me in a chat. And it's like, he might not be cool. He might not be knighted Daron the Daring because honey wine hasn't fucking happened and it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, very good point. We have a super chat that is something we wanted to discuss. Thank you to Mistman Jones 3555. Do you think that fake Daron could be used as a Trystane Truefire or Gaiman Palehair plotline?
Yes.
I think he is much more likely to be Trystane Truefire. Gaiman Palehair's whole thing is that he is like a very young child who is being ruled.
Baby, basically.
He's got regents. He's got his... Sylvie will likely be one of his regents. Trystane Truefire, on the other hand, is an actual like squire and adolescent. And given the fact that Haven, in a fit of conspiracy, thinks that we saw Perkin the Flea last episode already, I think that it's pretty likely that this could be Trystane.
Do you want to move to the prediction slide?
Oh, yes. Sorry, we had that.
Should we full on dive into it? Yeah, no, I
like this
like
shot,
the idea.
by the way.
It's cool, isn't it? Like, I'm the shots of Kristen and Gwaine in Harrenhal look so fucking badass. Yeah, I do wonder what they're going to get up to, because are they just going to be turned around?
I could see a vision, given the focus on the trailer.
Give me a Cole vision. Give me a Cole vision.
You know what it is, if it is Cole?
What?
You already know. It's young Rhaenyra, obviously.
Oh, of course. Young Rhaenyra. Maybe also young Alicent.
Isn't she on? She's on your bingo card. That's what you're hoping for.
Young Alicent's on my bingo, yeah. But that could be fun.
I think Aemond is much more likely to see young Alicent than Cole, even though Cole was the one who actually knew young Alicent.
I need an Oedipus vision so bad. Don't clip that one either.
You shouldn't have added vision to that space. But yeah, next episode looks really, really cool. It looks very Ormond focused, which is very neat. A lot of the earlier reviews were talking about how cool of a villain he is, and while he does have a ton of very cool aura in these 2 episodes so far that we've seen him in, He hasn't really done a ton yet. And I think it'll be cool to actually see him in action and see his actual dynamic with Daeron.
Yeah, and I want to see Daeron. Let's actually meet him. Let's almost definitely the Squire.
Daeron in the book is a contender for my favorite character of the dance.
And I want to see him. The fans want to see him. I don't just want to see him blur in the background. Let's see what he gets
I think they
up
should
to.
keep him blurry in the background for the rest of the season.
Just out of focus in every shot.
Maybe that's just an inherent trait of the character.
There's a lot of out of focus shots this season so far, to be fair. Now, do you think he's wearing... Do you think he has hair dye?
I think so. I think that it's dyed.
Because if that's so, why is it dyed in episode 1 before the fake Daeron plot?
Ormon's a paranoid bastard.
Yep, I'm with you. I think they can justify it by saying, there could be assassins on the road, so the prince is disguised.
Yeah.
Or he does, but the thing that makes me worried is that hair color is very specifically like it looks like Alicent's hair color, which has me worried. I want silver-haired Daeron. I don't want Alicent-haired Daeron.
Agreed.
But yeah, the list of things I had. Oh, we were going to talk about Tyland Lannister.
Oh yeah, he has to survive, right?
Yeah, I don't think he's dead. I think
it's going to be totally illogical and people are going to hate it, but I think he's alive.
Okay, this is what I think. If you're going to have him fall overboard at that battle, have him get captured by Dragonstone guards, right? He washes up, they capture him, they send him to King's Landing. Rhaenyra's like, tell us where the treasury is. He says no, and he gets tortured. He then comes back disfigured in the dying spasms of Aegon II's reign, and then, the hooded hand, all that stuff. However, if they don't do that, you know what I'm worried they're going to do? I'm worried that Tyland is going to be disfigured and living in a cave on Dragonstone, and he will help Aegon coup Dragonstone.
That would be
Aegon
so weird.
It wouldn't it? But I have a weird feeling they're going to do that, unless they have just killed him off. But and I think his disfigurement will just come from falling in the sea and maybe fucking his face up.
Maybe.
On the rocks.
He was on the rocks.
Which would suck. But him just living in a cave like Gollum and being like, come Aegon,
I think
that
Baela is going to capture him on Dragonstone.
I would like that. And then I want a scene of because some people are like that they've deliberately had him not be in King's Landing so that Rhaenyra doesn't order his torture, and it's like I don't think that's true, but I hope they're not shying away from that because
I think it would also it would make I think that him not being here, not being in the picture, makes the issue of the gold much more pressing in this episode, and I think that does improve it.
And you can have him be like, we captured him, and he arrives episode 4 or 5, and Rhaenyra's like, thank fuck, we've solved it, and he's just like, I'm not telling you shit.
Yeah, which I think is
and then it's
that'd be a cool way to do it.
It could be cool. Imagine we get regular updates, like Theon being tortured, but it's just like Tyland, just every episode,
just shot for shot. Have I ever said that one of my least favorite lines in the entire show comes from one of those scenes? The stupid fucking, if you think this had a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention. And
then everyone took.
People use that in such bad faith all the time.
Yeah. Why didn't the White Walkers win? Ramsay said this line.
We do have 2 more super chats before we continue predicting. Thank you to Jay Holloway. Love the episode tonight. Might be my favorite just based off the music. Ever thought about the parallels between Joffrey Baratheon and Joffrey Valerion? Definitely intended some parallels there, given those names being so similar and both being bastards and both being set to inherit the throne. Beyond
stupid parallels, by the way. But
it's hard to say because Joffrey Valerion is not really a character.
What was Cersei/Robert cooking when they were like, let's name our first son after the famous bastard prince?
Well, Joffrey, I think, it's a Westerlands name generally, right? Or maybe it's a Stormlands name because he's named after the Knight of Kisses, right?
Yeah, but if you're going to name the future king, you usually do it after existing kings. Why would you name it after a famous Targaryen bastard prince when he is a bastard? I think that's very silly.
Yeah,
I think that's
agree.
not a fan of that.
Maybe Cersei did that as a little joke.
She was just trolling.
Yeah. Thank you to Pioneer 10F. In a fit of mad conspiracy, I think Trystane and Perkin will be combined, and we'll get Perkin Purifier. I need to stress that I really want to be wrong about this theory. I'd only like it because it proves me right. I think that Perkin the Flea is an interesting character that they'll want to preserve because...
Wait, I've got to jump in here.
Yeah.
about this Perkin Flea Fire. The Pioneer is one of my patrons. Every week, if you're on a Fantasy Haven patron Discord, we watch the episode halfway through the week on VC. And Pioneer saw that character who I predicted to be Perkin the Flea and went, oh, so I guess they're combining Perkin the Flea and Tristane Truefire. And I said, why? He said, because he's got some silver hair. And I was like, he's just an older man. he just has grey hairs.
No, Targaryen.
He's trying to save face.
I did also nearly miss a super chat from Yan Verb, who pointed out in the chat. Thank you very much. Why is Jasper the only one who might have known about Tylan's plans? Tylan/Jasper confirmed. Iron Lion. Big if true. She also cites Otto as knowing about these plans, so maybe it was a kind of an open thing.
Basically, everyone except Alicent and Orwyle and Lyman Beesbury.
Which it makes sense that they would leave them out, because they did not trust them. Thank you to Mad Dog 1214 or 1424. Darren the Squire actor is playing Link too. I did see that. I'm interested to see that movie. I feel like Legend of Zelda kind of requires animation. I feel kind of weird that it is live action, but I have hope that it'll be good. I don't know. Majora's Mask is one of my favorite games of all time. So
I've not played any Legend of Zelda games. I'm
uncultured.
Similar to Pokemon. I missed out on like a lot of those kind of games.
Yeah, they're good. I'd recommend them. And then we have another super chat from Mad Dog. Do you think we see the Red Kraken and Bloody Ben? Bloody Ben, I think no. I think he's been folded into Oscar Tully. The Red Kraken, maybe there's like a 5% chance, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he did get name dropped last season.
He did.
But like, yeah, at most we will just hear.
I just don't know why we would be out in the Westerlands for a scene.
No, we just off screen. There'll be like but the thing is, because the Blacks have such a big advantage for most of this season, basically until the betrayal. I think it would be weird to be like the Red Kraken is raiding the Westerland. I think they'll change it to the Red Kraken is raiding the coast of the Reach, and all of the Black supporting houses are distracted to kind of give the Hightower host a bigger boost, I guess.
It's also kind of like we haven't yet seen Casterly Rock in the main series, just because it is kind of out of the way to these conflicts and generally isn't a site of battle. And I think that at least the raids on that area of the continent make sense to be off screen as well.
But we did see Castle Rock in the show, and boy, did it look glorious.
Oh, it looked excellent. Remember that? That was a weird post that nobody ever talks about. The Martin post from I think it was winter of 2022, where he just did a blog talking all about Casterly Rock in the books.
And then he did an interview with an interview with someone talking about Gibraltar and Castle Rock.
It's a weird subgenre of blog posts that doesn't happen that often. The Dragon post was also similar.
He goes on so many side quests. Just anything other than Winds of Winter.
He's been quite silent. No.
Yeah, because he's finishing Winds and releasing it to coincide with the finale.
We're not supposed to say that yet. We're under NDA.
Oh, shit. Oh no.
But yeah, anyway, do we have any more predictions?
One more thing a couple more things I want to talk about. One was, who do you think is filling up Rhaenyra's small council?
Torrhen Manderly, duh.
Master of Coin, he's the fool guy.
I could see Daemon just kind of being given token Master of Laws or something.
Either Daemon or or Luthor Largent.
Could see that. I could also see them not having a Master of Ships because they already have Corlys on the council.
Yeah, fold it into Corlys. Orwyle, I think, will basically...
Yeah, which I'm very happy with. I like Orwyle's presence.
Yeah, otherwise you're just throwing the actor away in a cell.
Yeah. And I think he's done a very good job. Orwyle's an underrated character, in my opinion.
He's kind of the GOAT, to be honest.
Yeah. Him helping Aegon to that degree last season, that did really... I really liked that. Larys obviously has an agenda with Aegon, in addition to having that kind of commonality. Yeah. But, Orwyle was just kind of being a good guy and good doctor.
Yeah, I was interested.
Yeah, I love the shit with him from the book, where he goes missing and then they find him 5 years later healing prostitutes in King's Landing.
Yeah, that's a very random, a random aside. Yeah, and then he gets his head snipped, right?
Yeah, he's one of my favorite Ice and Fire Glove shitters. I think he might go to the Wall. I'm not.
He goes to the Wall, but then does he abandon it and then he gets beheaded?
That's what he goes to. It's when he's going to the Wall, then he escapes, and then he comes back to the city and treats prostitutes, and then maybe he's beheaded later. Let me die in the chair myself.
He abandoned. I don't. fucking shout out all while. But
I searched
yeah, no,
Orwell and it autocorrected to Noah Wiley.
no.
The Pit is a
but
good
yeah,
show.
no,
I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't. But I think, yeah, the problem with having Tora Manley's Master of Coin is that we miss out on Bartimo's Master of Coin, and we miss out on the scene of him being torn apart by the mob. And likewise, Laurent Marbrand has been killed off screen. He also gets killed by the mob. So we're kind of running out of characters to get killed by the King's Landing
Luther,
mob, which I think is important. We have Luthor Largent. I think he's going to be the one, because I think we need one Rhaenyra ally to be torn apart.
And they did feature him a lot this episode.
They did. He's cool.
I agree.
He's a cool guy.
But yeah, we have one more super chat from Vandalman, who I assume is one of your patrons. Haven, who is this Rosetta Stone lady?
Followed by an inordinate amount of milk emojis.
I couldn't say that because I'm allergic.
Listen to milk?
Yes. We've talked about
We've
that
had this
before.
discussion. Yeah, maybe not Finding Nemo, but we've definitely talked about milk. Rosetta, yeah, this is a reference to the Glidus Jeopardy, which has
forgot
been
about
popping
that
up in
one.
it's been popping up in my recommended a bit. I
Same,
think it's having,
actually.
like, and every time I see it, the views are up a bit. I think it's having another gust of wind,
that's
which
good.
is quite fun.
That always happens. Whenever a season's on, the most random videos do that. Like my video on the cannibal from a year ago that mega flopped is doing pretty well.
Yeah, my Valarian video is doing well. My old one from 3 years ago, because I'm getting a sudden influx of racist comments. So that's
Oh, Christ.
that's great. Unfortunately, my top 5 videos have been demonetized, so they're all blowing up over Hot D, and I'm not getting money from them. So that's wonderful. But if you want to support my channel, hey, what can I say except check out the Patreon?
Good
check out the
transition
merch,
into
am I
our
right?
ending stuff.
Yeah, boy. Let's move on. I had no other predictions other than
Same.
predicting what the betrayers, how that might go down. But I think we can talk about that in a future.
I would agree. I think that won't happen next episode.
No. Well, it's finale, most likely.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, do we want to move over to the final slide?
I already did. That's what the lovely people are seeing.
Beautiful.
What do you got going
seeing,
on, Mr. Late Lord Haven?
They're seeing most of it because you have a big, ugly chat box in the corner.
I don't know
my
what you're
wonderful
talking.
live stream.
I'm doing subscribe.
I am doing subscribe. I'm doing weekly quickie reviews where I do a fun rambly breakdown of each video, of each episode of Hot D.
Episodes
My
are
first one
basically
got
big videos.
My first one got demonetized. So instead of having clips from the show, I'm just going to have screenshots and stills, less visually dynamic. And I call myself a lazy perfectionist, so that is going to annoy me, but we'll have to make do with that. I'm also doing mostly weekly animated content. I had the History of House Velaryon out. I had the real Jace book versus show out. I'm working on the real Otto for this week, and next week we're going to have a 20-minute fully animated History of House Hightower from the ancient high towers of old and the Blackstone Fortress.
With the Ormond focus, that's going to go crazy.
That'll be interesting, right? And all the way to the High Towers in the main book series. So keep an eye out for weekly animated videos, reviews, weekly live streams with Quinn. I do prediction streams. I want to start doing streams with my normie friend who hasn't read Fire and Blood to get their predictions from the perspective of a show-only person. I do VCs with my patrons. What else am I doing? I'm just generally massively overstretched, and I've only just recovered from a rare medical condition linked to sunburn. So I'm locking in, okay, guys. I'm locking in. I'm behind schedule, but we got this. Subscribe to Fancy Haven. Check out the merch store, fancyhavenmerch.com. Check out the Patreon if you want. And subscribe. I want to hit 100k subscribers before the end of Hot D. I'm on 87k, so that's almost impossible, but I think we can get it done. I have a bet with one of my patrons that if I don't get 100k subs in time, then I'm forced to make History of House Mallister, and I don't want to do that, so please fucking subscribe. What about you, Quinn? What are you doing?
I have put on screen the thumbnail of my next video, which will likely be out on Thursday? I'm talking about perspective in Martin's work and why I think that's kind of his secret sauce that makes Westeros so compelling. And I want to talk about how it can be adapted, because with House of the Dragon now, we've had two kind of very interesting looks at perspective in this world and how that could potentially be translated into a more visual medium like television through Dunk and now through Rhaenyra. It's a very fun video. I'm very happy with how it turned out. So stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe to catch that on Thursday. Beyond that, I'll have many more videos for you generally about House of the Dragon. We are doing these streams weekly. We alternate channels. So last week was on Haven's channel. Next week will be on Haven's channel. Odd numbered episodes will be on mine. Evens will be on his. So
Ooh.
stay tuned for those. And yeah,
I get
what was that?
I get the finale.
You do get the finale, but I get the premiere.
You got the premiere.
And also, we have one more super chat before we go, and again from Mad Dog. Do you think we get the God's Eye finale? I think it'll start season 4 to keep Matt Smith from marketing, personally. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I do not think we'll see that this season.
Oh, 100% not, no. I think we're getting it halfway through season 4, not even the
I don't think it's
beginning,
halfway. I think the rereading Fire and Blood, it really struck me how early it is. I think it'll be episode 1 or 2 of season 4.
Oh, no. If they were doing it like Fire and Blood, it would be episode 1 or 2. But based on the realities of Matt Smith and Ewan Mitchell,
Fair.
you don't just kill them off in episode 1. That's halfway through the season in my head.
Yeah.
That's
All
what
right.
I'm thinking.
Well, thank you all very much for joining us. We'll be back again next week and sooner than that with many more videos. Thank you again for watching.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
West of Westeros just super chatted question ellipses and did not attach a question. That's a good super chat to end on.
6-7.
Excellent super chat to end on.
Yeah, thank you, West of Westeros. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
That was pretty good. If he has a substantive question.